2, 3. Figuring things out. Yep, no problem. Yep, no problem. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right. Hello, Twitch. Welcome to the Status Quo. We are back again. Hello, Twitch. Welcome to the I gotta turn that down. So, we are here. We have a new one today. We have Shadow Facts. Let me go ahead and start this as well. All right. So, we're here. Welcome to the Status Quo. We love having new faces, new opinions, new points of view. And you said you were in the Navy, correct?
Yep, I did 6 years enlisted, and I decided to get a degree.
Oh, very nice. What do you do now?
I'm an engineer.
Very nice. That's cool. I stay at home and sit on my butt on this computer all day long.
I would if I could. Actually, I work from
Well,
home.
I mean, I do work. I do
Technically,
work.
I sit on my butt all day.
Here. I do work. I just work here.
Yeah.
I help design things for 3D printing that people want, odd little knickknacks and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see new faces here. It's always good to have new people here. And again, you have to apologize if it sounds like I'm talking to nothing or out of context quotes. It's because people are talking on Twitch, and I will be replying to them. First one being our buddy Marine. What's up, buddy? Howdy, welcome. You should get your butt in here and have this conversation with us. You already know where to go. You've done it before. He likes to watch on Twitch, which is also just fine if that's all you want to do.
Considering the core are the only people who met their goals, I mean, at least you can be on here and claim some victory.
Marine, I will tag you in Discord on where to go.
Right on.
Join BC in here. Okay. So. Oh, we're going to have another Marine in with us. You're outnumbered. You'll be outnumbered.
I am going to have to go get my crayons.
You know what? We just want to ride. Okay, Uber? Thank you. Hey, Donnie, welcome. Oh, I like that emoji. That's real cute. Who is that? Who is that supposed to be? I don't know how much of their delay is on Twitch today. Sometimes it's real quick, sometimes it's not. Well, I see that it's a bunch of faces, but who? Craigasm? Is it somebody named Craig? He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. Twitch is funny. Shadow, if you do have the Twitch link, it should be popping up here in the, or it should be in the announcements channel. It's the one that says Nikki Linish. If you want to I don't know, pull that up on the side. Just go ahead and mute it so it's not feeding back through. But you'll be able to see the questions as they come up as well that way. We get, sometimes our questions in the chat room are a lot heavy. Sometimes it's dead. It just depends. We switched our days on doing this so many times that like our followers have a hard time keeping track and keeping up with us. But this summer, kind of everybody's schedule was just awful.
All right, I got it up in a
So what did you do in the Navy?
I was a reactor operator.
That sounds slightly dangerous.
Nah, it's pretty safe.
Oh, it's just big words.
If I wasn't safe, I failed my job, and I guess, yeah, that's bad.
Well, you made it out in one piece, so that's good.
Yeah.
I don't. It sounds scary.
Nah, it's not that bad. Most of it was watching gauges. It's kind of boring, actually. The school's hard, but then once you go to the fleet, it's pretty routine.
I mean,
at least where I was.
I hear that. Like, if you were to just say the name of my job, the actual name of it, you would almost think that I was some sort of like flight paramedic. But I was not in the medical field at all. I was aviation life support systems. Okay. Basically the Navy's equivalent to PR.
Mm-hmm.
Parachute rigger. What's up, Marine? You made it. You made it. Oh. Welcome back, I should say, because you've been here before. You all right there, bud? No? Well, if you're going to hurl, you might want to turn your camera off, because we are live on Twitch, as you know.
I'm in a lot of fucking pain right now today.
Well, that's not good. Turn that pain into a healthy conversation about why the military is not retaining its numbers, or meeting its recruitment goals. Welcome to the circle. I know that JB has a lot to say about it, and that when he gets here, we'll be able to get into full swing. Which he should be here within the next 10 minutes, which is good. So we're just kind of bullshitting in the meantime. A lot of our OGs that can join us, usually because the new school year has now started, they're trying to get in their groove before they jump in. We would have had our buddy Deadpool here, or in this server he's known as Safety Third. But his job kept him up late last night. And then up all day to work again, so I don't blame him for wanting to go home and go to sleep. And then another one of our OGs actually is doing security over for the Artemis project that NASA's doing, so he's been keeping the crowd safe.
God damn it.
Hot mic.
You all right there, Marine? If you're having trouble, can you...
drop beer.
Well, that's not good. Dropping beer is never good. That's an abuse of power.
Yeah, that's kind of a fucking party foul, isn't it?
Well, what is that, Bush Light?
Yeah.
Well,
I stole it from my cousin.
I mean, you could just go refill it in the tap. No, that's Natty Light. Just go refill it in the tap, and you'll get the same effect.
That's some high-class stuff right there.
That's beer pong beer. You get that cheap stuff if you're gonna go through it quick. I'm sipping on whiskey, so I don't have that problem. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a perfect example of Marines versus Navy here. What is
Navy's
that?
sophisticated right here. Lockfullen.
Yeah.
Good scotch.
What's long and hard and full of semen?
A submarine, you dumbass.
Marine Corps box of crayons?
Hey, beat that many good times.
It's like looking at two entirely different worlds right now.
I like the gray ones because they taste like grapes.
You know, if your name on Discord said nothing about Texas whitetail, I would have 100% guessed that you were from Texas.
Yep.
He drinks the right kind of beer for it. It's ready for a tailgate.
Oh, fuck my knees. Screaming today.
You having trouble? If you have to go, don't let us stop you.
Nah, I'm fine. It's just my knee is fucking killing me.
It's your what is killing you?
My knee.
Your knee?
Yep.
Did you take an arrow to it?
No, I had a round go across it.
Okay.
I applaud the Skyrim reference.
Every time somebody mentions their knee or anything like that, then I took an arrow. My best friend would get a kick out of that because she loves Skyrim.
Oh,
She loves it. It's probably one of her favorite games. She plays it all the time.
I need to replace these boots. I need to go buy new ones.
At least you can walk on both feet without too much of a struggle. I can't say the same. Don't get hit by cars, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it.
I've been hit by a go-kart. Does that count?
By what?
By a adult-sized go-kart.
Did it break any bones?
No, but it felt like it.
Oh. I had a car smash into my ankle doing 45 miles an hour.
God damn. Are you still upright?
It didn't break anything but the bone. Like, the skin didn't break at all. Like, no bones came out. I was on a motorcycle, and we were going through a stop sign and making a left turn, and a lady didn't even slow down at her stop sign, just went right through it. Right into... Didn't hit the driver of the motorcycle, hit my leg. And that was... Actually, in 5 days will be 2 years since that happened. And I'm still on the verge of needing crutches half the time. Yeah. The bone is all healed, but the skin won't close. After 3 surgeries, the incision just won't heal. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Which is preventing my physical therapy. So any dreams, hopes, and dreams of going back into the military are 100% gone now. 100%. Even if it was the Air Force, I mean, they issue you chairs for your job. Couldn't even do that. Couldn't even fly a drone.
Even do Space Force. As far as I know, they work from home.
Actually, it's funny because my roommate
Shit, this goddamn Space Force shit.
my roommate's an amputee, also former active duty Marine, and he was going through putting in his paperwork for the MESET program, which is the Marine Corps something, going to college on the Marine Corps dime, and then it's basically like ROTC while you're going to college, and they pay for it, and then you come out and you're an officer. And he was about to put his package in to do that when he was riding on a motorcycle, and a car made a illegal U-turn right in front of him. They were parked on the side of the street and went to make a U-turn to go the opposite direction and didn't even look and just went right in front of him, and he lost the lower half of his right leg. And the Army's willing to take him. I'm like, wow, they'll take you with a fake leg, but they won't take me with a busted real one. Story of my life. But I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gotten a little too chunky now for that, even for the Army. Since we're on the topic of meeting goals and quotas and recruitment, prior service does have a quota as well. But
They do.
So where did that go? Let me move this over here for a second. I'm gonna pull that.
Oh wait, you know what? I got Twitch on my game system, and I have you added on my game system as well.
you saying you can watch it from your PlayStation?
Yep.
I just saw what you posted on Twitch. I have chat capabilities.
Oh shit! Fucking fire!
And then there's my chat capabilities. I can put my own face in the chat.
Emoji spam. There you go.
If anyone wants to use my face in any stream whatsoever that you're watching, you will have to subscribe to my channel to use it.
Oh, excuse me.
Actually, I think... Let me see. I think all of... I don't know. I don't know if all of mine are subscriber locked or not. I don't know.
I swear, my girl, she hates it when I fucking belch.
Say what? You're so muffled when you start talking.
I don't understand these goddamn fucking headphones.
That's another thing I should probably turn my sensitivity down because it is echoing.
Or drop his user volume a little bit.
Yeah. How does it sound on the stream if you can hear it? I have to turn it down because...
I was getting feedback when he would talk. It would echo through your mic.
Okay, is it... Oh, it's only him echoing through? Okay. Let
You just broke up there.
turn him down.
Okay, does it still do the fucking echo? Or does it...
Yeah, it's like finicky, and for some reason, like every single week is different even though I don't touch any of the controls. I don't know.
Okay. Sometime today, you fucking game system. I thought I had fucking Twitch downloaded. Apparently I don't.
Alright, so if we go in on the Discord into discussion topics, we go ahead and kind of get started because I'm not sure if Giggling Infidel will be able to come in now. I guess he's getting a little caught up with stuff. So he says he'll be here when he be here, if he be here at all.
All right.
Sounds pretty
You'll have to
typical
talk
for
loud,
for
Nikki.
I have to talk loud?
Yeah, because you were clipping a bit there.
Oh, did I turn it a little too
Oh,
high there?
Yeah, your filter was...
Camera.
Okay. Is that a little better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, in the discussion topics channel, we have it comes from Fox News, but when it comes to politics, I really don't think that military numbers is something that they would need to lie about because it's pretty general knowledge. You can find that information out. I don't care. This could come from CNN and I'd still use it. Military branches are falling behind on recruiting. The Army is 15,000 soldiers short this year. Well, the fiscal year just started, so this should say last year. Well, 15,000 soldiers short. It sounds like a lot, but at the same time in the Army, it's like what? Not even
The Army's...
the size of
yeah,
one of
the
their...
Army's
But still...
goals were 57,606 was their goal last year. So I think this year their goal, they shifted their goals down. They shifted their goalpost a bit. They dropped their goals down to like 49,000, 50,000, trying to meet goals. So, shift the goalposts, lower your goal, and then claim victory when you meet it. Well, they didn't meet it.
They didn't even meet when they shifted their
No.
goalposts. That's funny.
Not all of the services shifted their goalposts. Yeah, I looked into the numbers. Like I researched this on all the .mil websites and looked at their chief spokespersons, their heads of PR, the Marine Corps commandant for recruiting, that kind of stuff. Every
Right.
single branch of the service shifted their goalposts by a few percent, up to 10%. And the ones who did that, only the Marine Corps successfully met the goals that they anticipated after they reduced their goals. Everybody else fell short on something. So,
Right. Well, I mean, the Marine Corps hasn't ever had like the largest goal to begin with. They're already a pretty small branch. You know, so their percentage of what they're trying to maintain or retain or, you know, get to, unless there's an active, you know, conflict or war going on, their numbers they drop significantly or it's peacetime.
Right. Well,
This one
you would
here, the
think
National
that.
Guard. Well, no,
You
I
would
mean
think
that's
that.
how it was. I mean, because when I joined in 2000. I enlisted in 2014, but I was in the delayed entry program until 2004, and then left for boot camp and actually started my active duty time in 2005. But they were just trying to up and up and up and up the numbers because we were still, you know, pretty heavy into Iraq and starting to move into Afghanistan and everything. It wasn't until President Obama came in that they started the drawback. And that's why I didn't stay in, because at that point it was harder to stay in than it was to be in a completely new, you know, recruit and go to boot camp as a brand new person. Which I think is dumb and a waste of money, but they made it, you know, they're trying to push all the old people out. I guess I was old at 22 years old. But,
Yeah, when I
I mean,
started
it is,
looking
and
at the
then
raw numbers, you know, you're correct. The Marine Corps is a much smaller branch of the service than the Army, the Navy, the Marine, even the Air Force is a little larger than the Marine Corps, not by much. But their recruiting goals were shockingly almost as high as the Navy's as far as first-time, you know, non-prior service recruits. So I started looking
right.
into that, and I thought that can't be right. That's got to be flawed. If you're just going for guys out of high school to be in the Corps, you know, you're going to get yourself into trouble. You're not going to have any sergeants. You're not going to have any senior enlisted. Your leadership's going to tank. And when I started reading into it, I got some interesting quotes from for example, one guy, his name's McCarthy. He's a lieutenant. He's the head of manpower management for enlisted assignments in the Marine Corps. What he said was, understanding that a 27-year-old corpsman is likely physically more qualified than an 18-year-old was a good start, but the Marine Corps needed to continue to shift away from the recruit and replace model. So Marine Corps
Right.
pivoted. They're moving to a retention-based model now to meet their staffing needs as opposed to a recruitment model. Apparently, for the last 2 decades or so, their attitude has been, well, we need 60,000 troops, so we're going to recruit 35,000.
Right.
And now I guess they're focused on retention and not recruiting.
See,
That's
and
just
I
what
think
I
that's
came
backwards
to
because I think
understand.
that you still need to have that fresh new blood coming in. You know, as much as I don't like sending our youth off to war, you know, it's a necessity almost. I mean, it's going to happen that you're going to have you don't want a bunch of old people being in your lower ranks. They move slower. You know, usually they have too much common sense to just run in there the way the military asks, you know, a lot of their junior troops to do. I mean, Marines are called door kickers for a reason. You're not going to see a whole bunch of more, you know, older vets willing to just be like, let me just kick this door in, because they understand and know the consequences. They're past that I'm invincible stage. And that, you know, the military really, really relies on that, you know, naive young generation. And without being able to get those people in, I think overall, you know, it kind of, it lowers the morale when you don't have that. I don't know how to, it's making sense in my head. It's making sense in my head.
There's been fucking times where I've just wanted to just fucking just lose my shit and just be like, what the fuck is going on? Because a couple days ago I got fucking pissed off because I don't remember what the fuck I was pissed off about, but I kicked the shit out of my fucking door and I put a hole through my door. 2 times.
For what?
I don't remember what I was fucking pissed off about. When I'm pissed off at something, like extremely pissed off, I forget what I'm fucking mad about.
Does this have to do with the military?
Yeah, I saw it on, because I have an iPhone and I have like the fucking news that fucking pops up on.
Keep going.
Like the everyday new media.
Keep talking.
I saw something about the U.S. and I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Hold on, I just can't find something real quick.
Fucking stop, dude. Fuck. Cut my damn leg off. Fucking cauterize it. Fucking shit. Get fucking $2,000 that shit. Fuck it. We rich. But no, I actually want my leg. I need it.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
So, Nick, I have a question for you. What kind of liquor are you drinking right now?
Whiskey. Jack Daniels.
Glass. Oh. I just made a new best friend.
I was either you're gonna be impressed by that or be grossed out by that, and this final factor can still decide. It's not number 7. It's Honey Jack.
Oh, even better. That's one of my second favorite ones.
I'm one of the only people that I know that actually, I know like 3 people that think it's okay. Most people don't like it.
The one that I like is Everclear Moonshine.
I drink it slower than regular Jack because it's so like sweet. So therefore I'm not getting stupid.
You know what?
Hard pass.
I don't know if I can be able to ship you alcohol, but I'm actually gonna send you a bottle of moonshine.
All right, you go ahead and do that. But let's get back to topic now that I'm situated again.
Something to be said for older retention, though, and I don't mean older in terms of like 50-year-old bald gray hairs for door kickers, but I think there's something to be said for guys in their late 20s, early 30s in the core, in a time where you're not currently tip of the spear, running around the desert, doing crazy shit, right? Like we've pulled back, we don't have a lot of active conflicts at the moment. This is when you need your sergeants. This is when you need your E4s and E5s and E6s and that kind of stuff. You need to retain that leadership and the people who've been there and done that and have the training and the experience so that if something does happen, if the shit does hit the fan, you go recruit like hell. You bring in a bunch of, you bring a bunch of privates and you got guys there to take them by the hand and lead them through and teach them what combat is, I'm not a combat veteran. I'm kind of speaking theoretically here. Somebody with experience can certainly tell me I'm full of shit, obviously. But we ran into the same thing in the Navy. The Navy's kind of an interesting monster in terms of recruiting. Unlike the other services where, the Army is kind of a defense force, the Marine Corps is an offensive strike force, the Air Force, they're a defense force and they have airplanes, but, their fleet size is large in terms of the number of planes, and they have a lot of support crew. Navy's a little different. Navy has a fixed number of ships. I can tell you exactly how many ships are in service right now. I can tell you how many ships were in service last year. I can go back 10 years and tell you how many ships they had. And that's their whole mission statement, is to put guys on men and women on ships and to sail those ships around the world and do stuff.
But the ships only have so much space.
Exactly. So, and there's a certain amount of shore command that's necessary to support those ships, but that ratio is fairly static. You don't have a lot of dynamics there. So really, with the Navy, you can track the number of ships at sea or the number of ships that are commissioned or actively in service versus the number of people on staff, and there's a really interesting graph. I don't know if Twitch will let me link a link to Twitch chat.
Hey, Outlaw, welcome.
I don't know if that link will be functional for you.
Yeah, I'm able to click on it.
Okay.
No, but
So
if you actually want to know some dark stories, my father can actually tell you some dark stories because my dad was actually in Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. And he was there when shit actually hit the fucking fan.
Let's see, y'all.
So the interesting thing about that graph there is you can see in 2008 the ship count increased, but the number of sailors decreased. The Navy's been operating at a sailing deficit since 2008. Now, we had a blip in 2015 where we had a huge decommission of ships. But prior to that, from September 11th all the way up until about the election of President Obama, which may be coincidental, I'm not making any inference there, but that's just the timing, 2008. Up until then, you have a fairly high ratio of sailors at sea versus ships at sea. In 2008, you have a deficit. Navy's been trying to do more with less, and they've been trying to do more with less ever since. It has not gotten better under any administration since then. I
Right.
can tell you
So
from personal experience that has a hugely detrimental effect on morale.
Right.
Your op tempo is greatly increased. The days at sea are greatly increased. The amount of time you spend at shore on shore billets and port calls. I mean, that's where the Navy gets to basically do R&R equivalency. That's gone. So the Navy
Right.
desperately needs to bring that graph up. Which I linked there, that the Navy needs to bring that gap up. They have a big gap. So it's kind of an interesting analytic that the other services, I don't think you can do that kind of a direct correlation because the mission statement is so different, right? If we're in an active war, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, things like that, we had massive amounts of soldiers overseas. In times of peace, obviously your recruitment goals are far lower. I'm imagining the Marine Corps is a little bit more static than the Army because they're typically, forward deployed. They've got Marines attached on amphib ships and stuff like that. So you can kind of have a static number of Marines, but they're not as
Right.
volatile as the Army. Air Force and Navy tend to be fairly stable in terms of their recruitment needs. And the Navy has been failing at recruitment needs and failing at retention since 2004, basically. 2005 is where things started to take a turn. So,
Which is really funny because looking at this, it showed that they had too many at that point. On that graph, it showed that there was for the ship count, it showed that there was more enlisted, or more people active duty than there were ships, ship space available. And then you can see 2008, and it starts to dip down. That's during the Obama drawback. You can see it.
Well,
What's going on with that ship
those
count
numbers,
though between 14 and 15?
Yeah,
that ship count kind of went down drastically. What's going on there?
Those numbers, of course, that's 18 ships. That's not a direct correlation to the number of people, right? If you decommission an aircraft carrier, you've just lost 8,000 sailors. You decommission a ballistic missile submarine, which is what I was on, you've lost about 240 sailors because there's 2 crews. You decommission a fast attack, you've lost 100 sailors. So there's not a direct correlation ship for ship versus sailor for sailor. But when you look at the aggregate, right, 300 total fleet size versus 300,000 sailors or whatever, something like that, or 400,000 sailors. We were healthy in 2003, 2004. We were fairly healthy in 2002. I got out in 2004. They obviously wanted to keep me, but it wasn't really high pressure. Guys I knew that were trying to get out in 2008 were getting told all kinds of lies to try and stay in because they were hurting so bad and nobody wanted to stay in. And equally, they were having a very hard time recruiting, specifically in my program. It's a more academically challenging program that has its own kind of pitfalls related to it with background checks and that kind of stuff. It's a little higher rigor than the General Navy.
Right.
So there's a little bit of, my experience there is a little bit skewed from the normal Navy versus, say, a normal branch of the service. But from what I was reading in all of these, like I've got a number of quotes from the various chiefs of staff or their spokespeople. It seems like what's being echoed is that they feel the DoD feels like that the environment out there with the civilian world right now is far more competitive than it used to be. The quality of jobs available, the quality of healthcare available, the types of incentives that employers are offering to prospective new recruits, as well as just the high schools pushing every kid to go to college now. That seems kind of to be the norm. Even the trades, for example, welders, totally unrelated to the military, but even the blue collar trades, they're having a hard time getting talented workforce. Nobody's interested in going to be an electrician or a plumber. They all want to go to college and get a degree. So I think a strong job
That's
market.
something I can actually also pitch in on as well. That's something that I've noticed personally.
Well, go for it.
I've noticed that even places like let me turn this shit on real quick. Hey, there we go. What's up, y'all?
There's
But
that
even
beautiful
I've seen
face.
that,
I don't see anybody except Nikki.
But so if you guys have been kind of piggybacking off of what fucking
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go fucking get into something fucking comfortable.
But
All
kind of
right.
piggybacking off of what fucking Shadow said, even places like McDonald's are taking like notes from the military. I've seen some McDonald's chains are actually offering tuition assistance on par, or if not better than what the military offers. So one of the biggest selling points of the military, one of the big things that made the military look good, is now being offered for you to flip fucking burgers and make fries for for more money than you're going to make in the fucking military, and you still get to go to college for effectively free.
And you work an 8-hour day and you go home, and you forget about work when you go home. I mean,
Yeah,
the military.
you have that day. Guess what? You don't need to be up at fucking 0400 and deal with the same assholes again.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand the nature of military service. I mean, we're all veterans. We've been there. We've done that. But you know, the kids out of school, when they're explained the realities of, no, you sign up for the military and you might work. We call it the Navy port and starboards, but that's 12 on, 12 off. You know, you might work 7 days a week for the whole year. You might never have a day off. That's the reality of service.
Yeah.
And you
I
gotta
was
deal with
talking.
people that you don't like every fucking day for at least 8 to 10 hours a day. Again, like
Yeah.
you said, you might not have a day off for
I
months.
was
if
I
not
was
more
talking
time.
I was talking to my best friend about it, and she's never been in the military, but she said she only had one thing to say about it. She said, you know, I think a lot of people don't think that the perks outweigh, you know, the risk anymore. The same perks still exist.
Mhm.
You still get, you know, your GI Bill. You still get your, you know, the opportunity to file for disability compensation, you know, afterwards, depending on whatever ailments you have.
Yeah, you're still getting
You
your
still
post
have
9/11
your
all that.
veteran benefits and things like that. But is the risk worth it? Because before even joining now, you have two types of people, especially in a post-COVID world. You have those that are anti-vax, and the military is, you're going to get it no matter what. So you've lost those people. They're gone. They don't want the vax. They're not going to join. That's already canceling all those people out, which is really funny because a lot of the anti-vaxxers are more considered your conservative type. That's more your right-wingers that are the anti-vax because was, you know, the liberal agenda, whatever.
And they're also the ones that are usually
But it's
more willing
also
to
that's
enroll.
also like that's also a big point there, because your chances of getting more people to join the military are going to be from your right-leaning side. So just because, you know, Second Amendment, people on the left aren't as prone to wanting to put weapons in their hands, and people on the right are, but if they're not going to want to get that vaccine, so they're not going to join. That's just one aspect. You know, but then you also have
people are all fucking triggered by.
And then that also the number for combat related jobs as well, because you're not going to get someone on the left to join the fucking infantry.
But then, I mean, even if they were to start targeting people on the left, which they're trying to do, you know, I mean, every single branch changed their little logo on Facebook to a rainbow during June. You know,
Yeah.
they're trying to appease to the other side to get those numbers. But at the same time, everybody knows the military does everything in extremely close quarters with each other. And if you go back to the COVID thing, they don't want that either. So like, you're losing. COVID just fucked everything up, especially now.
Yeah, I can't,
because everybody had
yeah.
their debt, you know, either deferred or canceled because of COVID. Their rent didn't have to be due. Bills were able to be, you know, waived, whatever. Why would anyone want to join when there's still a lot of people riding that wave of COVID? They don't have to join right now. They have money.
Yeah,
They're
like, I want to do work every fucking day when you're literally living for free.
pretty much.
Right. Or in a lot of cases now, working from home, teleworking, remote working, whatever you want to call it, has become kind of the norm for a large portion of it that's not directly customer facing and service related. People
Yep,
are willing to take a
absolutely.
pay cut to work from home. Why the hell?
Yeah.
What? Enlist? Go to boot camp? Fuck that.
For
The
even
military,
less money.
right? Now the military is going to have to find a better incentivize. I have to compete with the civilian market if they want to keep this up. It's, you know, like I was saying, I've got tons of quotes up on my screen from various chiefs of staff or various heads of service for recruitment, and all of them say it's more competitive. There's challenge out there for propensity to serve. So they're having trouble with qualifying. Younger people are more likely to have criminal records now than before. They're more likely to have drug use than before. You've got states legalizing Schedule II drugs like marijuana and stuff. It's legal in a number of states, so people are using it recreationally because they're allowed to.
But federally,
Federally,
it's
illegal.
not, so they're
So you walk in,
disqualified.
yes. So you walk into the recruiter's office and be like, "Yeah, dude, I smoke a bowl of weed a week. I've been doing it for 5 years." And they're like, "Yeah, there's a waiver for that, right?" And you get to a point where there's a waiver for the number of waivers, and you're ended up talking to somebody or an admiral to
I
get.
can actually vouch for that. I can actually say something about that one.
I had a waiver for the number of waivers to get in.
That's a real waiver.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yep.
my God.
Yep.
What is it? I think it's like
My
I think there's
My
anything
waiver
more
went
than
all the way
three-
up to the Pentagon.
three or more or no, up or more you need permission. Because at that point they're like, really, how fucked up is your whole life that we need waivers?
Right.
Like I needed one because
Right,
my dad wasn't in the picture and mom had to prove she had sole custody, and because my dad was never in the picture. I was 17 when I enlisted, so
People
I had
think,
a
well, it's
waiver.
that slows down the recruitment process. The recruiter has to spend more time. He or she is hyper focused on one recruit as opposed to the 20 other people that walk through the door. And then you've all the command staff that's now spun up researching and investigating these issues and making special exceptions for people. So when half your population, and this is not making this up, this was core in the Air Force, that their eligible recruitment talent pool has been reduced by half.
Jesus Christ.
That's a bad financial decision if you're financial nightmare. So,
Which is another reason why they hit up high school so much, because a lot of these kids don't have financial credibility. They don't have credit, but they don't have fucking credit. And in the bank, you haven't proved.
Right. You walk into the military massively indebted, and they look at you as a financial risk, and they look at you as an espionage risk.
And it's really
yeah.
Because I was the most secure S2. Like, it was a for them to have. I mean, we had to get, everybody had to get like really high security in the unit. Took average people with backgrounds or anything 4 to 6 months to complete. Mine took almost 2 years because my uncle married a woman from Russia. He went out there to vacation, so it wasn't like anything like that. Just, woman in Russia, and but they had to go into her background and make sure that she's, a risk to national security, because now we're dealing with institutions here. It was, I anything that had to do with top secret, anything, I wasn't allowed to go completed. A lot of now, I mean, especially I live probably, JB's in here now, he's listening, but I don't know the rest of you, but me and him probably live at the border than a lot of others. I mean, we're within an hour and a half of the Mexico border. Here, you're going to get relation issues as well. A lot of people around here are not natural born citizens. So they have to go through all that extra stuff, and people don't want to do it. I think that if they do put somebody in their family who is undocumented, so they don't join for that reason.
And joining the military is one of the easier pathways to citizenship. It's difficult. It's not an easy process. I served with a number of Filipino Americans as well as immigrants from Mexico that were non-citizens that joined the Navy with the hopes of becoming citizens, and they all did. And all the ones I knew did. Quote from, this is Air Force. This is Major General Thomas. I believe he's one of the chiefs of staff for the Air Force. He says, our pool of qualified applicants half of what it should in the year. School year 2022, that quote from last year, he failed to meet his goals. He came back qualified and waiting list is historically. Our lead propensity has dipped. Public engagement and time in schools is at an all-time low, and we've had 2 years of limited recruiting opportunities. So, I mean, it's just, I believe weak picture for the according to Major General Thomas.
Right. Oh my gosh, I cannot
And so I
freaking type today.
I'm not talking to you. I'm fucking feeding my fish because I haven't eaten all day.
So you're eating your
I
fish?
don't know your whole name there, Outlaw, but thanks for the follow.
Yeah.
No, I haven't eaten all day today. I'm fucking hungry.
Well, that's not good. You need to eat. I
Honestly,
can't say
I
the
haven't
same
either.
because
Fuck.
90% of my days I don't eat until like way later anyway.
Here's my
PBR.
Like I think I had my first 4 o'clock today. I'm so awful. I'm so awful. Oh, but that's another thing. Maybe that's another thing is everything and everything. You know, in uniform, our lives on social media. You know, and information necessarily like national defense information, you know, loose lips kind of thing, but just giving a little bit of bigger world, Terry, and how people are and how they react. And, you know, you get 2 kinds of people that are in the military on these social media platforms, like TikTok, Instagram, whatever. You have the douchebags, and they're not giving up any information. They just look like tool bags. And then you have the other ones who do nothing but give about their lives, you know, in the military.
looking
And
at you,
those are
Richie.
the ones that make a longer lasting on these kids who just sit there and scroll their phones all day, you know. And it's like, well, this guy who I follow came to me actually this morning, and she's a very military, took that, and they just like they did when I was in high school, you know, the ASVAB, and she's like, well, you know, I'm being still open-minded one day joining the Navy. And I was like, you know, whatever you feel is right for you, just, you know, if you don't want to, I'm not going to force you. If you do, I'll support you 100% through that. Be a little, we're going to try and go Navy and not Marine Corps. You know, so I mean,
if you're man enough, cool. I'll give you my 100%.
right. I mean, but she had her COVID vaccine. That's not something going to keep her away from the military. You know, but she would want it more for the benefits. And she was straight up honest about it. She was like, well, because it's free freaking rent for 4 years. I'm like, you know, a lot of people join the military because they don't have a good stability when they become adults. It's honorable, but that's an honest reason to join. You get money, you have a job, you get paid, you know, you have a place to and it's the military. They hold your hand through 100 jobs. Go ahead and do it. Looking into a whole lot of stuff just maybe walking unexpecting what's going to happen, but you know, I just she would actually be a good person to have on because she is coming to that age where, you know, joining and have her. See, I wanted to join specifically because I wanted to serve my country. That was it. I really didn't care about the money or the GI Bill. I wanted to be a lifer. I didn't want to. So I had no reason for the GI Bill. What are you talking about?
No idea.
I have open wood floor in my room, and so let me give you an example.
We're talking about floors now. Okay.
No, if I war without my nose, I had a split the size of my fucking middle finger go in the bottom of my foot to my fucking heel.
I've had that happen
That's
before.
gross. That is so irrelevantly gross.
Except mine is when I was younger. I was being a fucking idiot, and I was following my buddy who. This is when I was in elementary school. I watched my buddy run up barefoot onto this mulch pile because he had to take a piss, and we wanted to take a piss off the top. I was like, I gotta do that too. So I ran up, fucking did the same thing, and then I run down, and then a piece of mulch like fucking that long just flew right through my fucking foot. And then my brother's sitting. Brother is like teens at the time. You're like, you're a fucking idiot, dog. I'm there like, mom. Mom. That shit hurted.
I think I heard something from Army coming.
From which army? We have Outlaw and
Or I don't know. Outlaw, the one on video.
Infinite
I was
Infidel's
about
the
to
one
say
not on
something
camera.
about Army recruitment, and we missed it. So I'd love to hear
Go
what
ahead.
you
Sorry
say.
about that, Outlaw. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to fucking go off of you guys. Just having been in the Army and obviously knowing a lot about the Army and from different branches, if we're gonna agree on this, because I heard someone say just join a different branch. We're all gonna agree on. You're gonna join the military. Go to the Air Force.
Yep, absolutely. That's what I was going to say.
That's what
I mean,
I was actually considering back.
That's a fantastic idea. Not mythical creatures. I don't think
Doesn't
I have
matter.
ever in my life seen an Air Force recruiter.
That's why you
I've
find
seen
out
their
where they
offices,
are when you walk in.
Now that you point that out,
When? No, when?
Yeah,
When
they're
can you
very
walk
bad.
in? They're never
They're
there.
very bad at outreach. They're very bad at outreach. But I mean, if you're considering joining the service, and I would say this to anybody, if you're considering joining the service, the quality of life, the standard of living, the way they treat you, as long as you have a good bearing, are technically competent, are respectful, and not a complete douchebag, the Air Force is really the way to go.
100%. Like my whole thing is, if you have all that and you don't want to be in a direct combat role, because that's why I joined the Army, because I wanted to be an infantryman. If you don't want to be in a fucking direct combat role, go to the fucking Air Force.
Yeah, I have enlistment. I have enlistment.
You drop some 105s on fucking heads and then dip out.
Yep. I enlisted in 98. I got out in 04, and I regret the Navy. I wish I would have gone for the Marine Corps or even the Army. Fuck, I would have. Like, I'm smart enough. I could do any damn thing I wanted in any branch of the service. I would have been totally fine infantry.
One of my in the Air Force, and he was in Afghanistan. He said it was fucking awesome because all he would do is he was a fucking crew member of an AC-130. All he would do, I think he was a weapon loader. So all he would do is he'd get the fucking mission to go. He would fucking roll up, him and his entire fucking crew. They'd roll up into the fucking plane. They'd, get airborne, start dropping fucking munitions on people's heads, and then they would just go back to their fucking. They would fly back to their base and just fucking sit in front of the TV and sit on the couch all day. He said they had to do one PT test when they were over there. I think they were there for like a year. They wanted to do one PT test just to make sure everyone didn't get fucking lazy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I had good times in the Navy, and I did an important job, and I'm proud of my service. It's not like I'm bagging on the Navy here. I don't hate it or anything.
But hey,
But-
y'all, I don't mean to cut my part short, but I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here and call my girl because I haven't talked to her all fucking day today. My boss has been bitchy at me as I go, why the fuck you on like, can I not fucking mess with my woman? You do your fucking part, I'll do my fucking part.
Well, good luck
All
with
right,
that
Marine.
conversation.
You have a woman.
You have a great evening.
Good luck.
And if you're still around in a few hours, maybe we'll get some insurgency in.
Came forward. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
I need to get a fucking PC so I can play with you guys because I love Insurgency.
Oh, we play on the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, you're a weirdo.
I mean, I have it for the computer also, but I don't play it on the computer because I don't like first-person shooters on a keyboard and mouse.
PC
What?
Master
Can't do it.
Race.
Fucking personal box here.
Like, I'm really picky about what games I play on what console.
You're right, though. Back to what you were saying, though. Speaking of online, everything's online. Kind of circling back, trying to stay on topic. You're absolutely right. Everything is online.
You can go on TikTok and within an hour you can get more real world information from people currently in than you will from talking to a recruiter for a week.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you can even go on YouTube and look up the day-to-day life of whatever fucking job you want to do in whatever branch.
Mhm.
You can
Well,
look up
Most jobs. You would not see pictures of my job on the branch, but
Oh yeah, we're not.
Well, I mean,
I'm
it
not
used to
talking-
be units would go through, whatever branch times. So Marine Corps times, Air Force times, Army times, whatever, or military times, or they would go through specific PR outlets. Now, every single unit and subunit and shop in each unit has their own freaking Facebook page. So,
Facebook,
I mean,
fucking
you know,
pages.
you would see Marines getting in trouble for or they would be they would be thrown in traps. Like they would be out at the bar and then they would be approached by somebody that's just drinking also, and then they would start asking questions about their job, and when they started talking a little too much, they would get a written warning. You know, in the Marine Corps, it's page 11. I don't know what it is for the other, but they would get an official reprimand for talking too much in public. Well, it's like, what are they talking about that you're not throwing all over Facebook yourself?
Right. But everything's online. And so when you're trying to recruit, I think the branches of the service need to be cognizant of this. The Army tried to be. The Army had a YouTube campaign. They had the big, but it turned into a viral meme. They shot themselves in the foot. They went a little bit too diverse and inclusive to the point of looking like a bunch of completely woke idiots, and they became the laughingstock of the internet. I mean, and even if you know, you're regardless of where you sit politically, regardless of how you feel about their message they were trying to present, you can't argue with the fact that there was a massive backlash online because of it. It wasn't presented well.
Are we talking fucking recruitment ads earlier this year?
Yes, the U.S. Army in specific. They really tanked on that. It was a laughingstock.
Army
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to stay away. I'm trying to stay away from making a. You know, I don't want to make this political. I don't want to insert my opinion into one side or the other of where that stands. But I think be generally stated that
you're
the
absolutely
message
right.
wasn't
They went from promoting them and what they do to let's try to draw in specific, you know, demographics. Instead of just saying, hey, look, we're inclusive to everybody. This is what we do. They're more like, let's pull focus away from what we do and say, no, we're just on your side. Like, okay, you're still not giving me any idea of what you do, and therefore I'm not interested because I'm not going to walk blindly into it. You know, and I don't want to call it pandering, but in a sense that it is. It absolutely is. And this has nothing to do, and I know that, you know, I had brought up June because everything turns rainbow in June because they all care, you know, but then July 1st hits and everything's back to normal because they care.
Except in Twitter pages, they stay the regular company colors. We all seen that meme.
Oh, Twitter. Yeah. Yeah.
We've all
No, but I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, well, you know, how about instead of, because all that does is just, it kind of paints a picture of a bias, and you don't want to be biased about anything.
To me, it painted the picture of the Army has no idea about the audience they're trying to reach. They don't understand that the audience they're trying to reach probably isn't interested in enlisting in the first place. But then it sends the rest of the message to everybody else that doesn't care about that issue, or worse, doesn't care for that issue, and it gives them a black eye. It looks really bad. They should have stayed away from it.
They should have stayed with the really, you know, emotionally, you know, motivating music of them running over a hill in their camis with their Kevlars on and showing, you know, Army of One or whatever their slogan is these days, because the Army likes to change it a lot.
Terrorists in the face and put it online. That's going to get recruits into the Army, and
that's pretty fucking got me in.
Yeah.
Right, but that goes back to the issue that I said before. You have a huge amount of people that are justice warriors for everybody, despite whatever they may or may not deserve. So these people can literally drop bombs on us, but then there will still be people here and say, well, we're not the judge, we should not be killing them, you know, when they have no problem killing us, you know. So you can't really rely on shoving let's kill Haji pictures and videos to people either. You got to make it more of like, hey, what you're doing is an adventure. And that's where the Navy got it right back in the day. Back in the day. Because when I joined, when we were in the height of Iraq and everything, all of their commercials, I was like, I don't know which freaking branch to join. I have no idea. All their commercials are fucking great. You know, the Army's music in theirs was motivating. The Navy promised me an adventure. Like, I was about to be Bilbo Baggins ready. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And then I was like, you know what? But I want to be the best.
Nikki, the Marines. I remember those commercials. The Marines promised you that you were going to be fucking hunting dragons. We all remember.
See,
That's all I can say.
The Marine Corps commercials back then were the 8th and 9 Marines freaking swinging their rifles around the silent drill platoon. That was their commercials back in the day. And what they did right back in the day was that it didn't matter what we were doing overseas. They were showing, look, you can belong to this brotherhood. You can look as nice as us. You can look fucking snappy. You can look like us. You can be one of us. And that's all they did. And that's one thing the Marine Corps has going for it, is that they don't have to really do anything other than be like, we look nice. You can be one of us too. That's all they really have to do. That's all they had to do for a while.
Actually, I remember the specific fucking
Because I'm not biased when I say the Marine Corps dress blues are the sexiest of the dress blues. They really are.
used to be.
No, they are.
I mean, pink and green's coming back. I think the pink.
No. This ain't World War II, because even Marine Corps blues back then looked better than pinky. Nope, no pink and greens.
New Army looks a little bit better.
I mean, I can't talk about Navy dress uniforms unless you like Cracker Jacks, in which case, I mean,
13 of them.
There's nothing wrong with Popeye.
I tell you what though, the Marine Corps, I think I can make a case for in the last 2, maybe 3 years, for as long as I can remember, the Marine Corps has always been, hey, if you want to be a badass, go be a Marine. They're devil dogs, right? Like, everybody knows the Marines are badasses. Everybody knows Marines are the killers. They're tip of the spear. They're first in line, you know, ready to go. 72 hours anywhere around the world. We're there. We're deployed. We're kicking ass, right? Everybody knows that. I think in the last couple of years that reputation slipped a bit. I don't think that they're the badasses. Yeah. I don't think they're the badasses they used to be. Now, when I was in, they were, and I regret not joining and being part of the Corps. I think it would have been cool to be a Marine.
You're absolutely correct on that, and that's because if you actually look at what branches went woke, the Marine Corps was the first one there. They were the first ones there to go woke, and that hurt the reputation big time. You went from, look at us, we're fucking badasses, to, well, look at them, let's bow down. And that's exactly what the Marine Corps did. And they were the first ones to do it. I mean, every other branch followed in line, but you're not a trailblazer if you're the third one to do it. You know?
Navy was gay as shit for 20 years, so I'm not...
You know, so, I mean, the Marine Corps was the first one. The Marine Corps was the first... The Marine Corps was the first branch to turn their Facebook logos to rainbows for June. They were the first branch to do that. Which, you know, whatever, that's fine. The Marine Corps is, I mean, any Marines I've ever served with, I think I've maybe met 2 that actually really had a problem with the LGBTQ community. Like, were actually, like, homophobic kind of people. 99% of the rest of people just didn't care. They didn't care.
None of the
as long as you
veterans I
do
knew
your
gave a shit.
job,
Navy-
as long as
the
you were
Navy
in
was-
regulations on your body and your hair, and you did your job, and you looked good in uniform, that's all they cared about. That's all they cared about.
Navy
then,
attitude was, we're all blue, we don't give a shit. Army guys I knew were all green, we don't give a shit. But
well, yeah,
you
Marines
guys-
are all
you guys-
green, dark.
you
our you know, the Marines, we were either light green or dark green, depending on what color you are. We were all green.
But
we all bleed green.
But to the point, though, everything's online, and when you put out this message, that message needs to be effective, and it needs to reach your audience. If half the people you're recruiting are born and bred, my daddy served, so I'm going to serve, or I want to serve my country, or I'm a patriot, or I'm a Republican, or whatever, and let's face it, the military is a little bit more conservative than most of society on the whole. some branches more so than others, some units more so than other. I mean, I got plenty of liberal friends that were Navy, but the
Right.
generally though, it is a more conservative service. If you want to offend that base, if you want in this very online polarized world we have right now, I mean, our
It's awful.
party politics are more polarized now than they have been in years.
Right.
If you want to piss people off, send a political message. To me, for recruiting, stay away from that. Don't play either side. Don't go hoorah patriot, like don't go crazy into the conservative side of things, and also don't go woke as shit, right? Don't go full blown social justice private. Just show what the job is and make it worthwhile. Maybe make TRICARE a little bit better. Maybe make the GI Bill a little bit better. Maybe sell the VA loan for what it is. I mean, honestly, of all of the service related perks that I have, the VA loan for buying a house was by far the best. It was just fucking bonkers good. They don't sell you on that when you get in. They don't even really sell you on it when you're depping out. They're just like, yeah, there's this VA loan, you can apply for it. The VA loans are fucking awesome.
When you go through TAPS and TAMS class, when you're getting out of the military, it's a 3-day class, at least in the Marine Corps. It was 3 days, well, 3.5 days, 3 full days and a half day. And 2 full days of it was everybody in the class had to put on these clothes. They would bring in boxes of interview worthy clothing. Mind you, I don't think anybody has put clothes in this box since 1992. The styles were outdated. They smelled like mothballs. Like, it was just so bad. But they had everybody go through these boxes and pick out an outfit that they think they should wear, would look good for an interview, for going into a job interview, whatever. 2 full days of that. We learned how to put on stinky clothes that probably also hadn't been washed in multiple classes. And then sit through the rotation of everybody going through why they picked that clothing. Like, what the fuck are we learning here? I still have my TAPS and TAMS folder. It's 12 years old now. I still have it. And half of all the papers in there are me and my 2 friends who were getting out around the same time. So we were in the same TAPS and TAMS class. And half of that folder is just notes that we were all writing back and forth to each other, just trying to pass the fucking time. Like, they kind of tapped in a little bit to how to file a claim if you're disabled.
No, they don't want you doing that.
They spent about 3 hours teaching us how to write a resume. But not one point did they say anything like, okay, well, now that you're going out into the real world, let's teach you how to do your taxes on your own. How about now that you're going into the real world, let's teach you how to, file for a home loan or doing any of these things. You're breaking up. What?
Said like how to make a fucking resume.
See, that's what we did.
I mean, I understand. That's a good part. But 2 whole days playing dress up, that was ridiculous. That's when I was like, okay, this is a fucking joke.
Yeah, that was the Marine Corps insulting your intelligence, is what that was. The Navy exit process was way better. We had 1 day on resumes, cover letters, and interviews. We had a 2nd day on personal finance management, explanation of benefits for VA loans. That's when I found out about it. And I found out you could use it for businesses too, which was an eye-opener. And then they got into credit management and proper credit use and stuff like that, as far as, hey, you're not going to have your food paid for, you're not going to have your housing, clothing paid for, you need to think about life here. But no, they spent a full day on just how to talk differently. It's really easy in the military to rattle off an MOS or rattle off an NEC, or that's the same thing. Army MOS is Navy NEC. It's easy to rattle off your job description. It's easy to say, oh yeah, I was a ETN 3. What the fuck is an ETN 2 or an ETN 3? What's SS or SW mean? No, you need to be able to translate that into civilian parlance. Oh, I was a low level supervisor. I supervised 5 other people on my team, and we did this activity. I was a plumber or whatever, right?
Right.
So
That's one thing the Marine Corps
we spent
actually
a
did
whole
do.
day on translating military jargon into civilian equivalents to do our job equivalency. I can't remember what they even called it, but there was a thing where they went through all the stuff you learned in boot camp and all the stuff you learned in
Yep.
Gray School, B School, C
They
schools,
we had
and
that
all the
too.
stuff you learned in specialty school, and they taught you
Yep.
how to translate that into civilian parlance. And then from there, they went straight to resumes, cover letters, mock interviews, and then explanation of benefits and finance management. It was a fantastic exit process, and I remember thinking, why don't they tell you this when they're recruiting you? If you ran a recruitment ad that said, hey guys, you're a first time home buyer, did you know that if you join the service, you can get a VA loan and you don't have to pay PMI? All the finance majors just flip their shit. What? I don't have to pay PMI on my loan? Sign me up for the military. I'm in for 4 years. I guarantee you, you could recruit a ton of people just on that alone. They don't even mention it.
Especially with the way that the housing market crashes and goes up and crashes and goes
Well, yeah,
up and crashes and goes up.
so-
Like,
My first time house, I bought my house with zero money down and 1.85% interest with no PMI.
yep.
You can't do that.
Yep. I'm actually planning on using mine here within the next 5 years.
Like if you recruited on that, and granted the interest rates have gone up since then. Obviously, I got in at the right time. But if you recruit based on that,
Here it's 1.5 for this house.
sure. But if you look at the rates, what they are right now, they're like 4%. Like today.
Oh well, I mean he bought this house
Probably 2 years ago.
just
3 years
over
ago.
2 years ago.
Mhm.
Just over.
Yeah,
2
that's
years
when rates were at an all-time low. If you look right now, the rates are way up. The Fed's increased rates a whole bunch, but still, the point I'm making is there are so many perks in the military that they don't tell recruits about. Instead, they're trying to dazzle them with with the Navy. Look, Navy SEALs. They show the SEAL video of the guys running the 454 twin 54 fast boats and all that shit, jumping wave to wave with a bunch of guns in their face paint, looking like fucking Rambo and shit. Like that's how the Navy's recruiting, right? Army's got a bunch of soft guys running around looking like deltas and shit, right? Air Force shows all this cool technical stuff with Reaper drones and computer screens flashing like it's an episode of NCIS or Hackers or something, right? And then the Marine Corps, they're showing their dress blues and their awesome sabers, right? But what they're not doing is they're not just laying the numbers down and saying, look, you have no housing costs, you have no food costs, we pay for your uniforms. You don't get paid as much as civilians, but you get free health care. And oh, by the way, when you get out, here's your free college, here's your VA loan. By the way, do you know you can use it for a business or a house? Do you know you can use it as a, there's so much stuff they could do at recruiting that they're not doing.
Yes, that's another thing that they could throw in there. That the GI Bill isn't just for university or college type education.
Yeah.
That it also covers apprenticeships.
There'll be a gunsmith on the GI Bill.
As anything within that requires an apprenticeship. Also, you can do an apprenticeships with the GI Bill. You don't have to go sit in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it for trade schools, any trade jobs. You can use it for that too. Like I got a buddy of mine, he's a professional welder now, but he used the GI Bill to be an apprentice for a welding company. And now he's making, I think he said it was like $67 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
A unionized job.
Yeah.
And he was basically getting paid. He was getting paid over $40 as an apprentice on top of whatever the apprenticeship money was giving him as well.
So I'm an engineer. I'm a structural engineer, and I'm working at a federal project on it's a nuclear project. When I first got hired, I made pretty good money. The journeyman welders were making more than I was. The running joke was that I was designing structures that other guys were building, and they were more expensive than I was. They didn't have to go to 4 years or 5 years now of school. They walked in out of high school, walked into the union trade hall, got picked up for a job as an apprentice welder, and started learning on the job, getting paid $30 an hour day one, 5 years later, they're making 62 an hour, Davis-Bacon wage rates, plus overtime, plus fringe, plus travel, plus benefits. All on that pay is like almost take-home pay, basically. Those guys' paychecks were like 50% more than mine. I mean, I've passed them now after several years on the job, but I had to invest tens of thousands of dollars into my education. Thank you, GI Bill. Thank you, taxpayers. You know, the
Thank you.
underutilized, the program, right? I mean, GI is self-funded. But it's not even, it's underutilized. Like, so many people are eligible for GI Bill, they pay into it and they don't use it. It's underused. But even that, I had to wait 5 years to make the money those guys were making day one. If people knew that they could enlist or go to OCS or whatever, go be an officer, get into the academies, whatever. If people knew that they could serve and get essentially OJT and then walk out of that with, like you said, use the GI Bill for trade schools and apprenticeships or whatever, they could go become, CNC programmers or go become machinists or something. There's a huge amount of money there. You could be in business for yourself. Use your VA loan to open your business, to create a machine shop and run a business and be an entrepreneur, make more money than any of us do. Totally underutilized, totally undersold. You never hear about that in the recruiting videos. It's because it's not Navy SEALs. It's not Deltas.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean I scoop food and put it on a tray 3 stories underneath the deck of an aircraft carrier? That doesn't sound fun.
That's a mess specialist. They're a specialist, and it's in the name.
But that's not like a romantic job.
It's not. It's not. And let's face it,
there's so many parts of the military that are just so overlooked. Like, because now, after I got out of the military, I ended up going to a trade school, and I have my degree in culinary arts and restaurant, hospitality, and management. Since I got hurt, that's kind of my, that part of my career has been put on the back burner because nobody wants to hire a crippled, person to work as a cook in a fast-paced restaurant. But what was I saying with this? I got fucking sidetracked. But like, if I had joined the military before, after I knew I wanted to be in the food industry, I would be 100% not in the food industry if I had joined the military to be someone who worked in a military kitchen. I couldn't do it. Like,
I'm a line cook too, and if I joined,
I work in like 4 or 5 star restaurants. That was always my goal, is to work in the fancy places. Eventually open up my own fancy restaurant. Looking at how the military runs their kitchens, the closest I get to that,
grease and rice.
The closest I'd get to that is going to an Air Force chow hall. I would just need to go to an Air Force officer chow hall, and that might be, I don't know, similar to an Applebee's.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing though. Like, you're right. An Air Force chow hall is probably on par with an Applebee's. But when you're enlisted and when you're serving, especially if you're Navy and you walk on an Air Force base and go to an Air Force chow hall, it's the fucking Taj Mahal of fine dining experiences, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, I mean, it just, even just different branches and even different, like, sections of the base. And the perfect example is Pensacola, Florida. There was... where all the Marines and like the majority of the Navy personnel that was there for schooling, they had their chow hall. That was the one big chow hall, and everything was on conveyor belts that you had to walk through, pull stuff off, and then you go sit down, and then you put your stuff on the conveyor belt, and the trash kind of took itself away. It was kind of nice. But on the other side of the base was the aircrew chow hall, where the aircrew trained. So the pilots and all the aircrew, whether it be Navy, Marines, whatever, if you were going to be on a plane for your job, they trained in a different area. They had their own chow hall. Tell me why that chow hall had little 2-seater round tables with tablecloths. And I was like, I went in there once because a good friend of mine was aircrew. So they could bring people in, but we couldn't just go there on our own. We had to basically be invited in to eat there. And I walked in, I was like, Where
Totally
are we?
different
Like, what is
experience.
this? A restaurant that I didn't know that was on base? And they're like, no, this is our chow hall. Like, what? Like, we're over here, like, eating off of linoleum topped tables. The only cool thing about it is that at the end, you just put your tray with your trash on a conveyor belt and somebody else deals with it. That's all. That was the coolest part.
Navy food was so bad that MREs were a better alternative, and we were happy if we could find them. That's how bad Navy chow is. Navy chow is horrible.
Well, I don't know
Wait,
what it was like on a
ate the
boat.
cheese omelet?
Dude, I would eat any MRE before I ate a Navy galley. Navy galleys are the worst.
Like, I don't know what it was like. I don't know what the food was like on a boat. I'm just saying the schoolhouse chow hall. So on land,
So
you know.
on a boat, meaning a submarine, not a ship. On a boat, the food's actually pretty fucking good. You don't get much in the way of fresh fruit, but the food on a boat's actually pretty decent. Ships, that's a different story. They try, but it's pretty sad. But the Navy food at shore is horrendously bad. Yeah.
Well, but then again,
I've eaten
this
in Air
was-
Force chow halls. They're fantastic compared to the Navy. But to the
Well,
to the
this
point
I mean,
of
this was the schoolhouse.
recruitment,
They had the Marine Corps to impress. And some Air Force guys, because
restaurant.
part of Pensacola there was Air Force guys training there too. So they had to at least make it somewhat tolerable because they had other people to impress.
if the Air Force wanted to fix their recruitment problems, all they would have to do is film a Navy chow hall or Navy galley, film an Army chow hall, and then fill an Air Force dining center. They don't even call them chow halls; they call them dining centers. All they would have to do is film that. Like, see, you can join the Air Force. We live better than the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. Done. Air Force recruiting
And then
goals
you
are met.
and then you have a bunch of the Marines that come back and they call any place that you eat the DFAC. Oh yeah, we're gonna go down to the DFAC. What the fuck is the DFAC? Yeah, McDonald's. What? You are back on stateside soil. Shut up.
I spent some time on a naval air station that had Marines, Air Force, and Navy all at it. And we always went to the Air Force chow hall to eat. I'll tell you what, though, the Marines had the best gym. So you go by the Navy gym, it was three fat guys on treadmills. You go by the Army gym, it was a bunch of guys, Army guys, wearing their silkies on the Bowflex. You go by the Marine Corps gym, they had free weights. Every dude was shirtless, and they were all posing in front of the mirrors. I'm not making this up. That's totally true. That actually
Sounds
happened.
accurate.
Of course, the sailor likes the fact that the guys are shirtless.
Because they were
That's great.
because they're a
That's
fucking
great.
cult. The entire Marine Corps is one gigantic cult. They just need to put propaganda posters like Scientology quotas met in the story. One of us. One of us. Ooh, rah. Ooh, rah.
Well, I mean, I kind of said that earlier, that the Marine Corps for a while, their only recruitment tactic that they needed
We're the Marine
was
Corps.
just to be like, hey, we're the Marines. You could be one of us. Like,
Yep.
that was their
Proud.
only recruitment tactic
That
for the
was it.
longest time, and it worked.
Yeah, I do. I remember watching TV back in the 80s. It was like United States Marines, the few, the proud. And then it's just a silhouette of a dude with a Sabrix and a square jaw.
That was
That's
it.
it.
That's
Like,
all they needed.
He was the fucking Giga Chad.
Oh my god, the few, the proud, the Giga Chads.
Pretty much. Seriously.
Motherfucking
I mean, I don't like to consider myself a Chad.
Tell me I'm wrong, though.
I wasn't one of those that was sitting in the gym with one of them, like, tank tops that was really, like, just, like, too long
Spaghetti straps.
What the fuck ever those are. But I was not that kind of Marine. I wasn't the one that was like flipping tires all day long. That wasn't me. I went home. I did my job and I went home so I can
Every fucking Marine.
relax.
Pretty much.
But by the time I got home, I was so tired that I'd end up just sitting in my camis for like 4 hours before I was like, okay, I think I've got enough energy now to take them off.
But I mean,
I once had a Marine tell me to slow down on my workout so he could keep up, but that was as far as it went.
oh, there we go.
Well, I would definitely have to tell you to slow down.
Yeah. Like he can't. I can't lift this weight. Try harder.
Try harder.
Eat
find
more
the strength.
crayons. Yep.
Eat more
Have a couple
crayons,
more.
Bubba.
Yep. There you go.
Power of Crayola.
Just don't eat the
compels
blue
you.
ones, okay? Those are mine.
They taste different than the green ones.
So I guess they. So speaking on crayons, they got these flavored crayons now for like candies that you can eat. Yeah. What the
Come
fuck?
on.
Yeah, dude.
Does that really surprise you? For the longest time,
Yeah.
they had candy cigarettes. You don't think that they're gonna have candy
I
crayons?
remember those. Dude, I totally remember those.
I remember them, Jones.
Yeah. We're all old as
And
shit.
they were like, yeah, and they tasted like chalk.
I remember when I joined.
little bit of pink dye at the end to make it look like a
Since
burnt
we're
ember.
speaking advertising commercials, I don't know when Outlaw went in. I went towards the middle of 08. Yes, end of 08, but area. But so I remember that Army Strong campaign they did. Oh my fucking god!
What is
So
the
you-
Army
you
motto
joined-
these days?
So I'm actually really interested in your perspective. If you joined in 08, because everybody I know was getting out in 08. So
Yeah.
what besides Army Strong, what changed your mind? What with the current administration, with the current climate on the war on terror, like, but in 08,
9/11 was the way to go.
really? Okay.
Yeah, seeing that as a 12-year-old kid, I was like, what happened?
I think we lost him.
Is shit cut out?
We dropped him.
Why? Come on, Army, you're making me look bad. He's making me look bad.
So
Come on.
did you
Jump back
join
in.
young? Were you like 18, 19, or were you older?
Yeah, I joined right out of high school.
Okay.
Oh,
So
he
you
said
would have joined
his
in 01
phone's
if,
about to
you would have
die.
joined in 01 if you were 18 then.
He said his phone's about to die. That's why he left.
Okay.
I graduated high school in 2008. Joined right after. Just right after. Went straight to MEPS. Like I was already in the delayed entry program 6 months prior to graduation because I turned 18 while I was still in high school. And as soon as that happened, they were like, okay, so you don't really need your parents' permission. You're 18. I signed it. Went to MEPS. Did my first stuff involving the physicals and whatnot. Then I had my second one. That was after I graduated high school. But I also knew a lot of dudes from like National Guard and shit. So if you joined up in your National Guard reserves, whatever, you could do basic training during. So say you were in high school, like you were going to be a senior, right?
Yes.
There was a
lot of the
rarity
branches were doing that.
where if you were National Guard or reserves, you could do basic training in between your
Junior and senior year.
and senior year.
Yep.
So by the time you got done with your senior year of high school and you were all done, you go straight off to fucking AIT. Which I'm like, that's
So see,
not good.
So like I think your experience and your reason for joining kind of echoes what a lot of other people were thinking from 01 to say 2010 or so. All of the branches of service, their recruitment, they got really lazy. When we had the 18 or 20-year long war on terror, especially, I mean, so I enlisted in 98. It was politically, it was not a great time to enlist. The current administration was not friendly to the Navy. It wasn't awesome. Things got better in 2000 for the Navy at least. So I mean, I was in when 9/11 happened, and I remember I was out at sea. I was gone. I remember coming back stateside a couple of years, like 2 years after 9/11. There were American flags up everywhere. There was a huge amount of hero worship. I felt really strange. Like people would see the haircut. Like, are you in the service? Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Like, dude, I didn't do anything. Thanks for your paychecks. Like, I'm doing my job, right? Like, to me, it was no big deal. There was a huge amount of hero worship, and there was like this suddenly everybody loved the military. Everybody was a patriot. And I think that made recruiting really easy. And I think the recruiters got lazy. I think they were really resting on their laurels because they didn't have to try hard to get people. I mean, guys like you would just fuck it, I want to go shoot terrorists, right? Or I want to save the country, or I want to defend America, or I want to defend freedom, or I want to give rights to people around the world. I mean, whatever your reason is, right? There's a groundswell, there's a momentum to it.
I
Whereas
just want to
now,
get the fuck out of my town.
well, I mean, there's that too. A lot of people do join for that.
I just want to get the fuck out.
But I mean, now we've withdrawn from Afghanistan. We're not doing very much in Iraq at the moment. Yeah, there's world conflicts, but we're thankfully, at least from my perspective, we're not involved. We're not in Ukraine right now, thank God. We don't have a major conflict right now, so there's not this momentum of everybody loves a serviceman or a servicewoman. There's not this, everybody loves a Marine or a grunt or a squid or whatever, right? So now recruiters actually have to do work again. Recruiters actually have to do outreach. They have to go attract their candidates.
Like I know, I know how bad they needed people back in, back in '08. My dad has multiple felonies. Dude's been in prison 6 times, and they were willing to do every which waiver till Sunday to get him in alongside me.
So here's a funny story. I did 6 years enlisted. I got out and I decided to use my GI Bill to get my college degree, bachelor's, and pursue education and then become a professional, working professional with a degree. While I'm in college, I get a call from an Army recruiter saying, "We will make you a warrant officer to fly helicopters in Afghanistan today, right now." He's like, "You were an E5 in the Navy?" "Yep." "We will make you a CWO right now." I'm like, "Make me an officer? Put me into officer school? Put me into put me into OCS? I'll do it." He's like, "Well, I don't know if we can make that work." I'm like, "Those are my terms. You want me to fly? I don't want to fly helicopters. I don't want to be a warrant officer. I want to fly planes. So put me into officer school." Well, they wouldn't go for it, but I mean, they were desperate for helicopter pilots when I got out. Like they were actively
Yep,
recruiting.
the Army was too. The Army was too.
Yeah, well, this was Army that was calling me.
Oh, got it. Sorry, I thought you said Navy.
Yeah. So the Army was desperate. Air Force was turning people down. I remember talking to an Air Force recruiter, a friend of mine actually. He's like, "Dude, we're turning people away." I'm like, "Seriously?" He goes, "Yeah. If you have anything that requires a waiver, fuck you. There's the door. We don't want you. If you have less than a 60 on the ASVAB, fuck off. We don't want you." I'm like, "Seriously? You guys would take 30s before." He's like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "We don't have any problem meeting recruitment goals." He says, "I turned 3 people away for every 1 person I put into boot camp, and I'm still exceeding my goals. We're overpopulated." I'm like, "Seriously?" Navy was the same way. I actually stopped into the Navy recruiting officer that I enlisted through in that office. Obviously, all the staff were gone. And I just asked him, "Hey, I'm a veteran. I'm out. I'm in college. I'm just curious. How are things going for you?" I was on my way home. He's like, "Oh, dude, things are going great. Like, we don't have any problem getting people to join." I'm like, "Really? What about like the special programs like nukes and SEALs and stuff?" And he's like, "Nope, plenty of qualified applicants, no problem." Now all that momentum is gone. The war on terror is over. We won or lost or gave up.
Whatever.
I don't fucking know, but it's over.
We lost.
We just
Oh, I
stopped
know,
We
caring.
definitely lost that one.
Oh, I know we did.
We
We
lost
lost.
that one.
We lost and gave them all of our guns and weapons.
You know what's funny though?
Fucking Haji's running around with PVS 14s now.
You know what's fucking funny though, and kind of bittersweet at the same time. I remember I was over there and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to one of my buddies, Jones. I'm like, he's like, "Man, what happens when you think we fucking finally comes the day when we pull out?" I'm like, "See all them motherfuckers that we're starting to push up north?" He's like, "Yeah."
They go right back to what they were
They're
doing before.
all gonna come back down because I looked at them and I pointed at everybody in that village that we was looking at while we was getting ready to disarm some bombs. I said, "Brother, that's them motherfuckers, them spineless, will do whatever you fucking tell them as long as you got a gun or a knife to their fucking head or throat. They will fucking fall in line. They fell in line with us, they'll fall back in line with the Taliban." This place, I told him my honest opinion. There's some places on this earth that just deserve to be glassed.
Or just ignored. I mean, diverging from the recruitment topic for a moment, the Soviet Union was trying to fuck around with Afghanistan for 20 years, and the U.S. was
Yeah.
helping the Mujahideen fight against the Soviets. The
Oh, yeah.
Soviets never managed to subdue the Afghans. Never managed to do it. The Afghans are tribal. They're cellular. They're localized. They're proud. They have a tribal culture. They're deeply connected. They don't give a fuck about the Soviet Union.
So they're
They don't give a fuck about
Dothraki.
yeah, they don't
That
give a
and
fuck
they're
about the United States.
extremely religious based. They
Yeah, they're
are
very
So they're
insular.
very, very based on
pretty
their
much.
religion.
They're very insular. You're never going to change their mind. They have been living this way for a couple of thousand years. They're not changing.
Right.
Hearts and minds be damned. I mean, you can
But
put all their
what-
girls in school you want. As soon as you leave, girls are back to not being in school again.
Yeah.
But
You
anyhow,
you're familiar with when you said that we weren't in a war. Well, have you been keeping an eye on the news about what with us and the Saudis possibly having a falling out?
that's
That's been on the
that's-
brink forever.
it's totally off topic, but very briefly, it's political showmanship. Our economy is failing. We have hyperinflation happening right now.
Fuck yeah.
The gas price thing, it's all political maneuvering, trying to make things look different. We are not going to go to war with the Saudis. We're not going to go to war with OPEC. It's all trying to get votes for the midterm.
We're not going to
It's
go to
just
war
political posturing.
with Russia or Ukraine or whichever.
Fuck
We're
no.
not going to that war either.
And I'm glad
Ukraine's
we're not.
whooping our ass. So
I'm glad we're not. I feel bad for the Ukrainians, but I'm glad we're not getting involved. For once, I'm glad we're not trying to be the savior of everybody.
I mean,
We're just
what we're
focusing-
hearing about the Russia-Ukrainian situation is comically exaggerated from what's actually going on over there. Remember I said my uncle married a Russian woman who she has dual citizenship between Ukraine and Russia. So she's like,
Interesting.
if she's going to pick sides, she would know which side to pick. And she has family that lives in Ukraine, but they live close to that area where the two countries are constantly butting heads. That's where her family lives. It did get bad enough to where, if you don't want to die, then evacuate. They did leave because it is still a dangerous area to live in. But the numbers on which they're saying the Russians are being killed, or, the numbers that Russia is doing to Ukraine, it's all exaggerated. It's still dangerous, but probably about 30% of what we think it is.
Right.
And that the casualties that Ukraine is giving to Russia are probably the most exaggerated. That if anything, it's probably more neck and neck, and that Russia does not have the upper hand at all.
Right. But that says something too. The Russian Federation is huge. Ukraine is definitely the small dog in the ring.
Well, she also says that Russia's not giving it their all. They're not really even
they're
trying.
not.
They're just.
They're also. It's really interesting from a strategic perspective. I believe that the United States vastly overestimated the capabilities of the Russian Federation based on Cold War fears, based on fears of what the USSR was capable of. The way in which they promote their military leadership, the way in which they allow people to get commissions and become generals, the experience that their leaders have, the way that they organize and deploy their troops, the way they handle their supply lines, the just comical ineptitude of the nepotism on display in the Russian military is something nobody really predicted. I mean, even I, when this first broke out, I'm like, fuck, like here's Vladimir Putin on a speech, and literally as the words are coming out of his mouth, you have a 3-pronged airstrike, ground infiltration, and missile campaign going on. I'm like, fuck, Ukraine's gonna get steamrolled in a day. This is gonna be a blitzkrieg. Like, this is over with. And his opening salvo was a masterstroke. It was very well coordinated. 24 hours later, the whole thing, just the wheels fell off the bus. And it's
Because
been,
he wasn't trying to obliterate the country. He was trying to
Right.
he was trying to force a show that the labs because I think it was probably only a couple weeks ago he gave a speech that the reason that they targeted government buildings and laboratories and stuff like that was because Ukraine was in on with the United States or something or other about manufacturing biohazard weapons in these laboratories, and that they were encroaching a little too close to Russia for comfort, and that, you know, if it's going to be an international, you know, situation on creating these bioweapons, that, you know, it needs to be known by everybody who's doing what and what's doing, you know, who politically.
Putin thought that Ukraine would capitulate like Belarus did. They didn't.
See,
Ukraine
I
was
don't
not willing
think
to be a puppet state.
I don't think that maybe he underestimated the exact amount of interest the United States has in Ukraine. And I know, and I'm assuming, but that he probably does not want to get into an actual war with the United States. When it comes to,
No, he does.
you know, the power, we're peers with them, and it could go either way. It's not
we're not peers. It wouldn't go either way. We would absolutely smoke them. I mean, obviously, if we tried to get involved in a land war in Asia, we're going to fail. If we tried to put boots on the ground and take Moscow, we're going to fail. If we wanted to go in and absolutely pound the shit out of all the Russian artillery and their armored columns, we could do that overnight.
It would be a nuke war. It would be who can get their nukes to the other country fastest.
And that's why we're staying out, and that's why he's staying out. That's why punches are being pulled everywhere. And I'm glad for that. Don't get me wrong.
So unless it escalates to that, they're just going to stay at this information war.
Right. And it's a lot of propaganda. It's a lot of proxy. But you know, so what I'm getting at here, and a huge tangent on the Ukraine thing, but the point is that that's the current world conflict. That's where people's interests are. You know, kids in high school, when they think about, oh, there's a war going on, well, they're thinking about Ukraine and the Soviet Union. They're thinking about the Soviet Union 2.0, Russian Federation. They're not thinking about the U.S. fighting terror or defending freedom or whatever our mission statement was. I don't know how you win a war on terror. It's an ideology. It's not a state. It doesn't have a uniform. You can't win. You can't win drugs. You can't win terror. It's not like World War II. You can win the Nazis.
Oh gosh, I was about to say.
Right,
yeah,
that was an organized militia.
You can win the Nazis. You know,
you can't win an idea.
Exactly. You can't win terror. Terror doesn't
have a
uniform.
organization.
Terror doesn't follow rules. But nonetheless,
they have a definition for what makes you a terrorist. Like, they have a specific definition. But at the same time, when it came to Iraq and Afghanistan, they were throwing up the idea that if they're wearing tunics and turbans, you know, that they are the enemy, and that caused a lot of prejudice and hatred towards people that aren't trying to hurt us. I mean, and then they threw in the whole, well, no, we're not really fighting terrorism, we're fighting the people who cause terrorism, the Taliban, Al Qaeda, you know, ISIS, whatever. And it's like, but to them, it's not terrorism. To them, it's a religious right. Yeah. Like, they're doing what they believe is right. We are the devil. We are the infidel to them. They're doing it on their moral grounds. So I mean, if it's all about perspective here. So I mean, don't call it a war on terrorism when a lot of it
was
has
a war
to do
on ideology. But
ideology, yeah.
That war on ideology was popular, though. In the United States, you know, people I joked when it started, because it was never forget. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna forget. They forget everything. Every internet fad comes and goes. There was some gorilla that was popular for a while. I can't remember its name. There you go. Yeah, the Harambe thing, right? Like,
I only know that because Harambe is a frequent conversation in my private Discord.
Okay. But so that's the point. Like, France, for a while, France was having some social turmoil, and it was, I stand with France. You know, never forget the valor of the French people. Like, a month from now, you're going to be talking about something else. It's Harambe. It's France. It's whatever,
Right.
you know. So 9/11, never forget it. I'm like, you know, that sounds cool. I appreciate your patriotism. Thanks for supporting America, but I call bullshit. You're gonna forget.
No, but
We
I
did.
do think that 9/11 had a bigger impact than other things like that, because something like that just doesn't happen in America. That doesn't happen to America. The last time something like that happened, it still wasn't on the mainland. It was in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Like, America doesn't get attacked. We are the attackers. So for it to happen to us, that caused a shockwave through the entire world. I don't think anybody's going to forget about 9/11 in a long time.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that the people saying this were completely disingenuous. I'm not saying that people haven't forgotten. But there was a huge groundswell of call it patriotism, call it healthy nationalism, whatever you want. I mean, I'm fine with all the terms. People were very much, you know, hoorah, sis, boom, bah, 9/11. That's gone. Now, what are people upset about now? What's the media telling us about now? The media's not telling us never forget. They're telling us January 6th, don't forget that. It's assault on our democracy. That's the important focus, right? So how do you recruit when for the last 10 years you've had 9/11, never forget they attacked us, not on our watch, stick it to Haji? And I realize that's horribly insensitive to say, but I mean, that I'm broadly generalizing as a caricature, but when your recruitment strategy is 9/11, we're fighting terror, well, terror's done. 9/11's forgotten. How
The terror, the terroristic act itself is over with. Yeah.
Right? Well, we're not fighting it, so clearly it's over. Obviously. Mujahideen are still out there. The ISIS is still out there. ISIL is still out there. Al Qaeda is still out there. All the various cells are still doing their thing. They're still growing. They're still growing poppies and selling drugs and making money to go fund warriors to die in the struggle, the jihad. But that recruitment tool is gone. The easy mode is over with. Now you're in hard mode. Now you have to recruit when we have a president that doesn't have a strong military presence. Obama did. Whether you agree with his politics or not, at least he had a conviction on what the armed forces were doing, as did Bush, as did Trump. To some degree, even as did Clinton, although...
Well, Clinton was reeling off a Desert Storm. He was still riding the Desert Storm wave.
He was.
Bush, obviously, 9/11 happened, so he had that going for him, and Obama was still riding that wave as well.
Right.
Trump, he's just one of those patriots, so he had that for him, and then now we
Trump
have...
had that.
Now we have...
But our current President Biden doesn't have a strong military bearing, I'm going to say. And all the veterans are going to laugh, but...
Old geriatric
Well, I'm trying to stay respectful. I'm trying to stay apolitical here.
I mean, okay, so when it comes to the military, though, I mean, we're unless it's going to affect like your personal life or anything, like when this is half of what we talk about. Like, why do you think politics now are good or bad? You know, sometimes we do definitely dive into the political talk. You know, like, I am not a fan of Biden. I think that he is a weak president. I think that he's a weak person in general, which leads me to other issues that I don't even think that that's even any of it. Like, I think he's just way too senile for the job, and he's just doing whatever the puppet strings are telling him to do. And because he's so senile, he can't even stay on track. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion of him, I hate everything about him. I can't say a single good thing about him. Everything about him is bad. But I mean, just from a commander-in-chief perspective, from a military perspective, he doesn't project a level of consistency, a level of authority, and a level of commitment that
I think there's just way too many shadows looming over him and his family that make it impossible for him to be trusted. And the biggest elephant in the room that for some reason not one person is thinking anything about is Hunter, his son. Like, that guy is... I don't even that
I mean,
he's a whole shit show on his own. But the fact that
You
he's
know,
so closely related to the president of the United States, and he's doing all these drugs and having laptops and whatever supposedly with kids, and his ties to Ukraine.
yeah, the problem is the business connections with the stat. If it wasn't for that, I'd be willing to say, you know what, the apple fell pretty far from the tree on this one. You can't, the sins of the father, the sins of the son. They don't go both ways, but they're in business together. His father's influence helped him get into positions. There was a lot of nepotism going on. So how do you recruit in this environment? We don't have a conflict going on right now, which means the Marines can't go be fucking badass, shoot Haji in the face. There's no Haji to shoot right now. The Marines
Well,
can't
you can't
go
even
be,
you can't even you can't even piss on the dead bodies of the Hajis that blew your friends up. I mean,
yeah.
I got some issues with that one.
honestly,
so-
I understand I understand why people are upset about that. That
Oh,
it
great,
is
we can't do
they're
that.
dead. They're dead people. Their evil is now gone. They're dead. There's no reason to add insult to injury. But at the same time, like, if you were not there and witnessed what these people were doing to our brothers and sisters and watching our friends get their heads blown off by these people, then if you had witnessed this or been there or gotten to know these people just for them to die in this pointless war, pissing on them would probably be the least you'd want to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Senior Chief Gallagher aside.
It puts things, it's a huge, it brings out the hypocrisy in people, because you have these people that are like, how dare you piss on, they're dead, how dare you do that, they're still human, blah blah blah, but then turn around and have no problem bringing a skateboard and chasing a 17-year-old down the street and then wonder why you get shot. Like, hello.
Yeah, by the way, Rittenhouse was a fucking pro on that one.
Rittenhouse
just
had
gonna
a
go out there
lot of help after the fact. I mean, his
I'm just
counsel.
saying, in the moment when that dude got knocked down and he had a gun drawn on him and he vibe checked two dumbasses that thought
Fuck
they
around
could
and
take a
find out.
skateboard and a pistol to a guy with an AR-15. I mean, that just from a recruitment perspective, I mean, trying to tie this into what we're talking about, that whatever his decisions were, whether he should have been there or not, whatever, but in that moment,
The fact
it's
is he
captured on
was
video.
in that moment.
In that
Yeah.
moment, the way that he behaved, he was calm, he was trying to escape, he was trying to get away, he was leaving people alone, and then they fucked with him, and then he just dispatched them, and then he immediately went to law enforcement and raised his hands. It's like, that's the kind of guy you want to recruit. That's the kind of guy you're looking for. You're looking for a young guy who has some moral conviction, who isn't a complete asshole, who's not there to shoot people in the face. You're not looking for a killer. Devil Dogs, Marine Corps, they're all killers, whatever.
You're
not
looking for someone
bloodthirsty
willing to pull the
assholes.
trigger when they need to. That's what you're
Exactly, when they need to, and they have to know when they need to. That's the kind of guy you want. You want this young high school kid who's a little impressionable, and recruiting is easy when you have a war on terror. Recruiting is easy when Pearl Harbor's bombed. Recruiting is easy when there's a popular war. Recruiting's not easy in Vietnam when you have to draft. Recruiting's not easy when Commander-in-Chief President Joe Biden is at the helm, telling the families of dead soldiers, I bet your son had big balls.
Did you hear? It was. I think was it posted in here, JB, or was it posted in mine? They posted a link about how he said that his son Bo died in Iraq.
Oh, I watched that just now. I saw
what?
that.
Are you trying to say that just for the views? Are you like? Did you forget? Like, who are you talking about? This is your son who died of cancer.
He died as a reservist at Walter Reed of a stroke, and Biden is alleging
Or I thought it was cancer.
the stroke was caused by burn pits. He died of fucking brain cancer. That's what he died of, brain cancer. And he'd been diagnosed with it like 8 years prior. The fact that he was still serving as a reserve officer with basically terminal cancer
of the brain.
Yeah,
of the brain. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You know, I do feel for people who have ailments like that. But when you
Anybody else would
have
have been thrown out.
when you have something going on with your brain that can impair your judgment, to leave them in a position of leadership like that. Hello, the president has the 25th Amendment that can be used against him anytime. They were willing to throw that at Trump, who, as far as I know, can still think and talk without stuttering or slurring his words. He may be brash and he may not be everyone's cup of tea, but he can at least formulate a fucking sentence.
Yeah, I had no question of President
bigly
Trump's
sentence.
intellectual competence. He may have been a brash asshole on Twitter.
I think
say what
honestly,
you
I
want
think
about
that was half the allure, was that he just had no fucking.
say
fucks
what
to
you
give.
want about the guy, but there wasn't any question of his mental competency. How do you recruit in an environment where you have no war happening, where your recruiters have all been playing easy mode? I mean, it's like video gaming. You've been playing Call of Duty, and you've had it on arcade mode for the last couple of months, and you think you're Billy Badass, and then
And then
somebody
you put it
comes
on
along and tells
hardcore.
you to put it to hardcore mode, and it's a rude awakening. You don't have the
As
skills.
someone who
You don't
plays,
have the
as someone who
experience.
plays Call of Duty, I do prefer it in hardcore mode. I'm just throwing that out there. Right now.
Complacency kills.
Exactly. Familiarity breeds contempt. Our recruiters, yeah.
But I will say this, Duke. So when I joined up in 2008, we were still on that whole "We Love America" type shit, right? Kinda. We were coming off the high of that. But then you get Alex Jones, Infowars, the Snowden incident. You get all this shit.
Bradley Manning.
Yeah, you get all this shit.
Bo, what the fuck was his name?
All
Sarah?
this
Sarah? Was it Sarah?
No. Bergdahl. Fucking Bo Bergdahl.
You get all this sketchy
Well,
shit.
he had his own set of fucked up issues. I want to say that
Hillary
maybe he,
Clinton
you know.
and Benghazi.
Oh, don't get me started on Benghazi. Just hearing that word makes me fucking
Come on,
livid.
I mean, at this point, what difference does it make?
No.
How can
That
we
right there.
serve-
Ugh.
How can a 17
If there was a purge day, I know who I'd be going after.
My question is, how can a 17-year-old, 18-year-old sign up? Now, this is all on the internet. You can look it up. It is, fucking WikiLeaks. That shit. Everything is on there. You can look it up. If not, guess what? You can download a torrent browser and go shifting through the dark web. It's all there.
Oh,
Now, my
well,
thing
you gotta
is
be
if
careful
you
with that,
took-
though.
Oh yeah, but kids nowadays are okay. I want to look into this. Okay, I want to read into this. They want to understand fully before they dive in. And when they start reading all these articles, how government officials that are elected and supposed to be leaders are just saying, "Hey, guess what? We're gonna start doing shady shit that gets a bunch of your brothers and sisters killed." Huh?
Exactly. How do you recruit in this environment? We don't have patriotism anymore. I mean, we do, but not like
We're on borderline
not like 4 years.
insurrection.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I could go on at length about that. I think
We're a couple red flags away from being added full-blown insurrection.
maybe
The Capitol riots won't look like shit.
I think what we're really facing in terms of recruitment, in terms of retention, is it's no longer about patriotism. It's no longer about what they did to us is unforgivable and we're going to help. It's no longer about we're going to defend the world or we're going to defend America. Now it's a game of numbers. Now it's a game of, post-COVID government lockdowns, work from home. You can't evict me. I'm empowered. I'm entitled. I know my rights. I'm woke. Whatever. The landscape has completely changed. So now you have to find a way to recruit people who want to serve this country when this country doesn't really seem to have a strong mission statement right now.
You
Now,
know,
back in the
I will
1980s, back in the
I
Go ahead.
will say this really quick, and it's something to think about. If you look at any of the attacks, I guess you can say, on United States personnel, especially military personnel, you can almost kind of see a trend on when they happened. Look at the USS Cole. That was under Clinton. Benghazi.
Oh, trust me, I remember the Cole.
under
I will never
Obama.
forget the Cole.
Afghanistan, the 13 in Afghanistan under Biden. Like, these things don't happen when a Republican is in office, because they know that a Republican will bring hellfire back down on them, and
So,
that a
trust
Democratic
me.
president will not.
I'm
do it.
Navy. I'm Navy, and I was serving when the USS Cole was attacked. I will never forget the Cole.
Well,
you know what
I mean,
else?
it comes to mind because the anniversary just passed, like a week ago. But
Yeah, the 12th actually.
Yeah.
Going off memory, I think it was the 12th, 6 days ago.
Yep,
Fact check me on this, but I'm going off memory. I think it's 12th.
it is the 12th.
See, I told you I don't forget the Cole. Here's another one I don't forget. I wasn't even alive for this one. USS Liberty. When Israel
Liberty.
bombed one of our intel gathering ships, and then shot our evacuating sailors as they were trying to flee in boats. Nobody remembers that. Oh, Israel's our friend. Fuck no, they're not.
No,
Not that
they're
they were.
they're not anybody's friend but themselves. They will take the help when they get it.
There you go, right there.
They'll
They're our
take
friend
the
when
help.
we're their friend. Anyhow,
But
Nothing
what
against
is
Israel
what is
except
what is
for the
Israel
liberty.
doing for us? We've had their back, but what are they doing for us? That's not a friendship. That's a
you could make the statement, and seriously, from a neutral perspective, they absolutely are a proxy first line sacrifice when the Islamic extremists go nuts. 9 times out of 10, an Islamic extremist is going to go after Israel before the U.S. So there is that. I don't think
they're a
that's
lot
necessarily
closer.
ethical or moral.
They're a
I
lot
don't like
closer.
I don't like the idea of using Israel as a human shield on the international scale. I mean, I'm
But
not
they're a lot
advocating
smaller
that.
and a lot closer. And
I remember when we sent troops out there towards Gaza.
Yeah, we've done that a number of times. But the Israel did it. The Israel did attack the Liberty. The Navy does not think kindly of that. Another example of something that the United States military does not forget is Jane Fonda.
oh, Hanoi Jane.
See,
Fuck that bitch.
none of us were alive then, and yet as soon as I mention her name, everybody has a bad reaction.
It's engraved into
No.
our DNA as
Just
service.
exactly.
At the
That
local
was
VFW, at the local VFW here, they have these little
Yep.
target signs with her
How do I
face in the
say
middle
this?
of them that says "hit the
Fuck.
target," and they have them right there in the urinals.
We were all reforged in the fires of the Great Suck.
It says "hit the target, Hanoi Jane."
It is in our collective DNA.
Like the hatred for Jane Fonda has been passed down. Like all the
Like
old
I don't,
salty
and there's
sailors.
still people.
Like,
There are people till this day that still defend what she did. I'm sorry. How did you defend anybody? How did you defend anybody? You got them killed. You got them fucking murdered because you opened your mouth to the enemy. Why were you not tried for treason?
Or you completely ignored the inhumane, cruel, and unusual treatment that their captives, their captors were giving them, and then you gave them a pass.
And don't get me started on John McCain with that shit too. No, because he
Yeah,
was
I don't like the
fucking
guy.
there. He was fucking there. He was one of them. And for one of the last things he fucking did was, oh well, you know what? We can forgive everybody. No, bitch. No. No.
I won't forgive the motherfuckers over there.
I don't care. You know, rest his soul. I'm so sad that he got a brain tumor or whatever it was. But like,
Life happens. Death is a part of
Shit.
life. But back to your point, though.
but he was a rhino.
He was. But back to your point, though. Too much scotch. Just lost my train of thought.
We're within the last stretch of the episode, so we usually just kind of branch out and just talk about anything for the last half an hour.
So back to your point, though, the connection between the attacks on America and who's in office at the time, it's an anecdote that may have some value. There's certainly,
and I'm not talking about domestic terrorism. I'm not talking about like that country music festival in Vegas, because that was under Trump.
It's a perception of weakness by our enemies. It's a perception of weakness by our enemies. Our
You'll
enemies
notice
typically think that when a Democratic president is in office, that the United States is weak, and they typically tend to act out when Democrats are in office. It also seems to be a strong correlation, whether there's causation or not. I'm not making an assertion. I am an engineer, so I do value causation versus correlation. There does seem to be, however, a strong correlation between Democratic presidents and international police actions.
But with
Look at how many Somalia, Black Hawk Down. Who did that happen under? Vietnam. Who did that happen under? You look at all
Pearl
of
Harbor.
Yeah, don't get me started on Pearl Harbor and FDR. FDR is the worst president this country has ever had.
I mean, he got us out of the Depression.
No, he didn't. He created
that's what the history books say, so that's how he's going to be known.
War got us out of the Depression. FDR is directly responsible for the economic system that we have that's failing right now. Keynesian economics. Look it up. He took it off the gold standard, Bretton Woods. That's all I have to say.
No, but he knew that war would get us out of the Depression, because he knew that there was going to be a planned attack by Japan on Pearl Harbor. He knew that they were coming.
He wanted it. FDR wanted to intervene in Europe, and there was not an American support. America First was a huge movement that was preventing war in Europe, and he hated it. FDR wanted to intervene. The attack on Pearl Harbor was exactly what FDR wanted. It was the excuse he needed to send troops to Normandy, and he did it. Anyhow, to the point you were making. We're attacked oftentimes when Democrats are in office, and we also engage in kind of, I'm going to call them, what's a good word for this?
I was going to get a Coke because I wanted to.
Infantile police actions, impotent is the better word. Impotent police actions. Clinton, he gave us Bosnia. We deployed troops. We put Air Force and Army and Marine Corps on the ground in Bosnia-Herzegovina to solve the ethnic cleansing issues that were happening. We put people's lives at risk for Bosnia and Herzegovina to what end? For what purpose? Did we defeat a state? Did we replace a government? Did we occupy? It's not like this was occupied Japan, where we occupied it and turned them into an ally. It's not like this was occupied West Germany, where we occupied them and turned them into an ally over time. What did we do? What did we get out of Bosnia and Herzegovina?
So, you know what the fucked up part was about?
Well, Bosnia was in the 90s, right? Bosnia was.
It was Clinton. It was Bill Clinton. So,
of course it was.
Your point was we're attacked when liberals are in power. My point is not only when we're attacked when liberals are in power, but we also intervene when liberals are in power. Somalia, Black Hawk Down, was when liberals were in charge. What did we get out of that?
But the another point to that is your domestic terroristic events. Mm-hmm. The country festival in Vegas, the Orlando shooting in that gay club, all of those are done when a Republican is in office, because it makes them look weak for being in charge and not having this shit under control.
By the
within
way,
their
that
own
has a
ways.
lot more to do with the media than it does have to do with when
Oh,
the
of course
attacks
it
are
does.
happening. The attacks are happening. Fucked up shit happens all the time in this country. People die all the time.
It just
There's
depends on what
quote
they choose
unquote
to
mass
publicize.
shootings. I'm going to put that in big air quotes, mass shootings under Homeland Security definitions or FBI definitions. They happen all the time.
4 people or more.
Whether they make the airwaves and whether they make national media depends on who's in office. There's no point in talking about mass shootings if legislation is currently in progress to stop mass shootings, you're going to hear about it. If there's no hope of the legislation passing, you're not going to hear about it. Politics.
If a dad, just hypothetically, if a dad of a family, the patriarch of a family comes home to his wife and 3 kids, fucking loses it and snaps and shoots all 4 of them, that's technically a mass shooting. It's 4 people shot in a very specific time frame at once.
Under
That's
the
a mass
such
shooting.
rules. Well, it is under the current definition. It has to be in public. It's the only difference. If it occurs in public, they call it a mass
when did
shooting.
that happen? Because when did they change that?
That's NIJ. Well, actually, to answer your question, there is no definition for mass shooting. It's whatever the media wants to say it is at the moment. The National Institute for Justice, or NIJ, has defined it as random victims in public or in a public place. So not workplace violence, not domestic abuse, not domestic assault. It has to be randomly chosen victims according to NIJ. But there is no standard.
The difference between a mass shooting and a serial killer is the time between the killings.
The media will call a mass shooting when two or more people die in a shooting. What they won't call a mass shooting is if a gang's involved. You can have 15,000 people die in Chicago, gang affiliated. We don't fucking talk about that. We do not want to acknowledge the plight of the 14 to 25-year-old black male that's killing the 14 to 25-year-old black male in the inner cities. We do not want to talk about drug turf wars. We do not want to talk about how the indigent are attacking their own and feeding off of each other. That is not a popular topic. And it's not restricted to blacks either. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an economic issue. We don't want to talk about any of that. What we want to talk about is the lone gunman. We want to talk about the lone wolf, the guy who goes psycho and flips shit, goes into an Orlando nightclub and shoots people. That's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the guy that goes postal.
Well, for the Orlando shooting,
but whatever.
For the Orlando shooting, they tried to spin that as a hate crime. They tried to spin it as a hate crime. But then more and more started coming out about the shooter, and the shooter was a gay person that had a vendetta against the place because too many other people had rejected that person in that club. Like,
yeah, and they tried to spin it as he was not actually gay and he was questioning his identity because he was Muslim, and it's like, nah, that's bullshit. He was gay. He was just a psychopath, just like the Virginia Tech guy.
Oh my God, yeah.
But what you can't call it a hate crime because he wasn't a white man.
I got a rifle sitting behind me. It's loaded. I got plenty of political motivation to hate people. I've never acted out.
It's not shooting nobody.
I'm not a psychopath, and that's all there is to it.
I mean, there's just in the downstairs of this house, there's at least 6 weapons strategically placed where kids can't get to them. But the adults can in the event of an emergency.
There's another one off camera you can't see that's literally at arm's reach of me. But the point is, people have a sense of value for human life. And when they lose that sense of value for human life, they lose their own humanity. And they become willing to do things that the rest of society would consider abhorrent. And they snap, and they go do stupid shit.
Yeah. It's everybody's got to break.
But don't you know that's video games' fault?
I play a lot of violent video games. I play
You
a lot
know,
of violent video games.
I've probably put a few thousand hours into video games where you shoot people, and
Yep.
I'm still waiting for that moment where I'm just gonna go outside and shoot everybody. I'm
Yep.
waiting.
I have
I'm waiting.
since the first one.
I've played a lot of violent video games. I've listened to a lot of violent music. You know, I've drank about a quarter of a fifth of scotch tonight.
I think it's
I've
funny
I
though.
I was in the Navy for 6 years, and I dealt with a horrible chain of command, and I dealt with horrendous morale. Uh, I've never had to see a psychiatrist or psychologist for depression, even though there were moments in my naval career where I didn't feel so great.
That must be nice.
To quote another friend of mine, I mentioned something about a tunnel and light at the end of it. And I said, we're all just hoping it's not a train. And one of my friends pops up and says, sometimes I wouldn't mind it if it was. And another guy says, yeah, I'm not really suicidal, but if a building was falling on my head, I probably wouldn't jump out of the way too fast. I mean, talking about recruitment, you can't retain anybody because the morale is so bad. The chain of command is so toxic. I don't know about the rest of the
Fuck
service,
yeah.
but
It definitely depends
Army
on the people, because most of my issues, because I have a disability rating for mental health, most of my service connected problems that arose to getting service connected were involving people that were also active but from other commands. So it wasn't a command issue. If anything, my command was actually very, very much there for me when I needed them. But it wasn't MST, but it was definitely like assault. One of them was a physical, full-on bruises, fist punches and stuff.
Shit.
Assault by
terrible.
another Marine in a different unit. I
So
don't
were
want to
they
say. I mean, I don't want to sit there and say that everybody should believe in karma, but I'll just say that he's 6 feet under now, because of his own stupid actions. So.
Wow. Okay. So
Nothing to do
better
with
than a
me.
court martial then.
Yeah, me and him were dating, and it had gotten just toxic enough to where I was like, look, like, you need to stay away from me for a while. He had never shown signs of being physically aggressive or anything like that before, and I was like, okay, well, I'm letting you know that me and my friends are going to this place, so please don't show up there. And I had talked to my boss and let him know, like, hey, what should I do? Because he does like to go to this place as well, but he has plenty of other places he likes to go to. He's like, well, if you're able to let him know, just let him know that you're going to be at this place and just, steer clear because you just want your space. So that's what I did. Well, he ended up showing up anyway, getting completely smashed. And when I walked outside to be like, what the fuck are you doing here? He like grabbed me, threw me to the ground. It was a big old fucking ordeal. But, he ended up starting to date one of my friends, one of my good friends. He started dating her, and they ended up getting married and having a few children. But I found out from her, because she's still my friend, I found out from her that 2 days after my accident that broke my ankle, he was riding on his motorcycle with a girl that he was cheating on his wife with, who was my friend. The wife was my friend. He was cheating on her with another woman, and they were on the motorcycle in the middle of the night when, for some reason, at very high speeds, he crossed over the median and hit a car head on. And both him and his side chick were both dead at the scene. So he's 6 feet under, and I tried, and she was upset, rightfully. I mean, she'd been married to this guy for 10 years and, had kids with him. She's rightfully upset, but she was also rightfully very, very angry, and in a way she felt like it was almost justified because he just was cheating on her all the time. I was like, look, I could have told you when you guys started dating, and I tried to tell you when you guys started dating that he was not a good person to date. But you were love struck, and there was nothing I could say that would have changed your mind, even though you saw the bruises and shit that he left.
The Almighty said, look here, guy, I gave you one fucking negative counseling. You fucked up now, so guess what? I'm gonna Article 15 you out of fucking life. Like, Jesus.
I mean,
Clearly,
He definitely.
we need a command level safety stand down for that one.
Like,
He definitely.
I don't know.
I
What
don't
the
want to
US
say he
Marine
got
Corps or
what's
the US
coming
Army
to him, but he
uses,
got
but
what was
the
coming
Navy
to him.
uses the terminology safety stand down, and they have these like command wide stoppages of work. One comes
Marine Corps
into an
does that too.
auditorium and they have like a safety briefing on,
Safety
hey
brief.
guys, just because the Navy SEALs are cool doesn't mean you can go out of Cape, Coronado and jump off of bridges with your, halo suits and
I was the reason behind one of those.
safety stand down. By the way,
Yeah.
Okay, is this okay? Let me know. Let me know. Is this military wide or was just this Marine Corps? There would always be like 2 or 3 people that had to say something at a safety stand down. There would be whoever was giving the safety stand down, then the senior enlisted of the unit, and then the senior officer of the unit, so the CO of the unit. They'd all have something to say. The first person would come up would be usually in the Marine Corps, it's a sergeant major, so it would be your senior enlisted of the unit. They'd come in and be like, all right, look, guys, I know you're not fucking stupid, but I know you're stupid. If you're going to have sex, wrap it up. If you're going to do something stupid, don't get caught, and if blah, blah, blah. Just no glove, no love, don't get caught, and if you do get jailed, don't call me. Kind of thing. And then the CO would come in and he would say something basically the same thing, just not as brash. And then that person who was giving the actual safety stand out, everyone's like, okay, them two had their thing to say. And then this third person would get up and then be like, all right, guys, sit back down. It's going to be a few minutes. And you're like, oh, fuck. And then it would be like 4 hours later because he just wouldn't shut up. You're like, dude, we were supposed to be off like an hour and a half ago.
Yep, Navy followed the exact same protocol. It was always the same bullshit, and every single one of us was like, fuck, just put your hands down, don't ask questions, like, shut the fuck up, we gotta go
And
home.
half the time there was a fucking PowerPoint with it, and you're just like, stop it, I know what venereal diseases are!
Worse, no. Oh no, we had the PowerPoint, but not only did we have the PowerPoint, but they read every single fucking word on that PowerPoint word for word.
And then gave a spiel about every single slide.
Slowly. So you know what we did? So we had, this was, this would be considered sexual harassment, sexual assault, chauvinistic behavior, misogynistic behavior. I mean, this was completely out of line. This is what we did. We had sensitivity training on sexual harassment. So I decided that
service pistols.
So I was the section leader. I had 6 guys and 1 lady under my command. My supervision, I should say, not my command. And they were my watch section. And we had a sexual harassment stand down for talking about issues where both males and females could both be harassed, and both males and females could be raped, and blah 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 blah. So all of us, myself and my 6 direct reports, we all showed up in our working uniforms. It was wintertime, so we wore working blues. It's the Navy's like their black wool slacks, black wool shirts, garrison caps.
Wait, this was before the janitor's costume?
Yeah, we didn't have that shit when I was in. We had dungarees with bell bottoms. I mean, we were fucking old school.
Wait, those? I thought you didn't wear like the light blue shirt with the navy blue pants.
So that's the dungarees uniform, or that's the utilities uniform. So this is what they call working blues. They call them the Johnny Cashes. Let me grab you a link. It's a black wool set of slacks and a black wool long sleeve button down shirt with a garrison cap that looks an awful lot like a Marine Corps cap.
Okay.
Yeah, let me grab an image of Navy working blues for you. The point is, they're navy blue, which means they're black as fucking sin. They're not blue at all.
Okay, I know what you're talking about with the press sleeves.
It's
the button-down shirts, black on black.
Yeah, it's totally fucking black on black
with the Dixie cup.
No. So we had the option of not wearing the Dixie cup. We can instead wear the garrison cap. But I'm looking for a proper image of that.
The piss cutter.
Garrison Cap is. I'm grabbing an image for you. Here we go. What the fuck? Fuck you, Pinterest. I hate Pinterest.
Yeah, I don't like Pinterest either. It's confusing as fuck.
No, it's terrible because they want you to sign up for bullshit. I'm signing up for shit.
Away your soul.
Garrison
I
Cap
did
looks,
that.
Garrison Cap looks like an army hat.
Oh, like the one, like the Krispy Kreme shits, like the ones that fucking In-N-Out.
Like the ones you see on like the comic book strip. The fuck's his name? Beetle Bailey.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the Beetle Bailey hat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one where it looks like you can eat a bowl of cereal out of it. Yeah. Dude, those were fucking Navy's got so many damn uniforms.
Anyhow, I'm distracted. The point is, it's an all-black uniform, so anything white stands out like a sore thumb. So myself, the one female who was more of a fucking man than any of the rest of the guys under me, and then the 6 males underneath me, all of us wore brand new white cotton underwear or boxer shorts, and we wore our navy blues, our black uniforms, and we unzipped fully our zippers on our trousers, and we sat in the front row with our legs spread so that the white would show. And the whole time, this poor Lieutenant JG, which we call Ensign Upper Half, which is a huge joke because like Ensign was an 01, Lieutenant JG is an 02, and then a full lieutenant's an 03 in the Navy. And then admirals have 1-star admiral lower half and 2-star admiral upper half. So the big joke is Ensign Upper Half instead of lieutenant junior grade. So anyhow, this Ensign Upper Half is up there trying to keep a straight face. She's like 22 years old, fresh out of the Navy college. She's super cute. She's all girly. Like she's brand new. She hasn't been exposed to males at all. She's up there trying to give a presentation on a very serious topic about misogyny and sexual harassment and rape and us 7 assholes and assholette are up there with our fucking zippers down and our briefs showing bright white on a black uniform, and she's trying to keep a straight face the whole time, and she's uncomfortable and she's blushing because she's being actively sexually harassed by 7 of us at the very moment in the middle of a sexual harassment training that goes on for an hour while she reads these PowerPoint slides, and the entire time she's trying to keep a straight face. And then at question and answer time, all 7 of us raise our hands.
Oh no.
She did not know what to do. She's like, finally, she's like, you know, I really don't know what to do. I don't know how to say this, but the flag should be flown at full mast and not half mast. And there are a few sailors in the audience that may have a uniform malfunction. And all of us ignored her and just continued to sit there. Oh, it was so bad. That's yeah. We were trolling hardcore, and
so many
terrible.
trolling stories. And being in the Marine Corps, of course, we had that like superior, you know, that superior complex Marines have, and especially being young and dumb and not realizing that sometimes we would take it too far. In Pensacola, which was a mixed branch base, we had obviously Navy and Marine Corps there, but we also had a small sliver of Air Force guys there that were going through their portion of whatever boot camp, whatever they were doing. And even though they were in boot camp for whatever training, they were still able to like go out on the weekends and like hang out on base at Portside or, you know, whatever the little on base, you know, recreational center and whatnot. But it was right along. I don't know if you've been to Pensacola.
Mm-hmm. I have.
Okay, so you know how the mega building, the mega schoolhouse building was right there in the middle, and then all the barracks were around it. And then on the south side of that was all the buildings that were closer along by the water, and then the big dock there where they had, they would bring the ships in. When I was there in 05, end of 05 to early 06, they had, what is it, the Olensky? Is that the name of the boat? That they, it was, it started with an O, I know that. But they completely salvaged it, so it was just this huge hull of a ghost ship sitting at the dock there for like 2 or 3 months because they had a planned demolition to go make it an artificial reef off the coast. Well, and Portside was right there, but along the coastline there was this really, really tall grass, like 6-7 feet tall grass. And we would like get dressed up in our camis and like put face paint on. And we'd go hide in the bushes, and we would wait for these unsuspecting Air Force guys to come walking through, you know, and they're just, we have no problems,
Yeah.
we're safe in America, you know, and
Fuck yeah.
they'd be walking through, and
Fucking
we
love
would be
the
jumping out like the
Marines.
boogeyman in our boonie covers and face paint and be like, okay, time to tie you up to the closest tree we can find.
Wait, did you veg up?
What?
Did you veg up? Did you put local vegetation in your
Oh,
house
of
and
course,
shit?
of course. We had just
Fuck
learned all this in boot camp and
yes.
MCT. So we were all for it. So we do that, right? And then, so there was a couple times, though, that we had almost gotten caught. And then the one time we did get caught. And I know that I've told this story on the discussions before, but those videos don't exist because Twitch is dumb sometimes. I love you, Twitch. Don't ban me. But there was one time we were all sitting there was about 5 of us, and there was there was like these walkways that went through the grass, and there was a random picnic table out there so you can like look out over the water, I guess. And we were all sitting there, and we were all up in our garb and everything, and whenever we would see or hear somebody like getting close, we'd go hide in the bushes. Well, one of the Marines that was with us, I guess he didn't get far enough into the really tall grass, and he was still in the grass that was only like 1.5 feet tall. So like laying on it, you could totally see him in the moonlight. And it wasn't Air Force recruits that were walking through. It was the Marine Corps OOD. It was the officer of the day. Yeah, it was the officer of the day and the assistant duty for the day, or the NCO of the day. So they were walking through, and we're all laying in the grass there, right? And the OOD, because the only light that you could see anything was their flashlights and the moonlight, but they didn't have the flashlight because it was bright enough. They didn't have it on. So I guess he sees my friend like laying in the grass, and he pulls the flashlight out. He goes, "Marine, what the fuck are you doing?" And without missing a beat, he goes, "Looking for seashells, sir." And it's like 9:30 at night, right? So it's dark. There's no reason to be out there in camis and face paint looking for seashells. Right? Well, the OOD started laughing, and this guy, the OOD was weird as fuck. He had like the weirdest laugh ever, that if you heard it, it made you laugh too, just because it was so strange. So he starts laughing at the seashell joke, and now everybody's now laughing at this guy's laugh. And he like takes the flashlight after he hears us all laughing. He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Because there was like 6 of us like in the bushes all around him, and we're all busting up laughing. He comes out, he goes, "I know you're not fucking doing what I think you're fucking doing," and we're like, "No, we're all looking for seashells." He's like, "Go the fuck home. Get that fucking shit off your face, and don't let me see you out here ever again, because now I'm going to check every single night." Yeah, we ended up having a whole ass fucking school circle about not doing that anymore, but it was fucking funny because we didn't get in actual trouble. He just told us not to do it anymore.
So from my job school to your job school, so my phase 2 to your job school, I was only an hour and 4-minute drive away. You were literally on the other side.
Okay,
in
yeah, I see it.
fucking
Yeah, I know
Pensacola
what you're
Bay.
talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay, keep talking. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and break this damn seal. Fuck.
Oh yeah. So hey, just saying no. Air Force chow halls.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, that's the shit.
Any motherfuckers listening that are Air Force, I swear to God, you are the luckiest fucks on the planet.
You motherfucking flyboys, you wing wipers, prop wash collectors,
Drone
You
piloting, sipping on cheap fuel with a joystick having asses.
you chair force fucking work from home motherfuckers have no idea how good
But I
your
will say
fuel
this.
is.
But I will
And
say
your women,
this.
and your women, the ladies in the Air Force. See, Nikki's left the room, so I can be all terrible now.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
You have no idea how good you have it.
Gorgeous.
Navy, we had a slang in the Navy. It was called Bosnia. You know what Bosnia stands for? Just take a wild guess on what Bosnia. This is the creativity. Never underestimate the creativity of the United States Navy sailor to come up with an amazing acronym. Bosnia. Bosnia is the pinnacle of male achievement in the U.S. Navy. Bosnia stands for Big Old Standard Navy Issue Ass.
No,
It's
you gotta give credit to everybody. We had a Marine pilot in my unit. His call sign was Pablo, which stood for punk ass bitch laid out. Because when they were in Australia, he got really drunk and got in a fight with an Aborigine, and got laid out.
That'll do it.
So his call sign became Pablo.
Bosnia was only applicable to the female sailor. The male sailor never was Bosnia. It was
So,
an overweight male sailor was just a fucking badass. An overweight female sailor was Bosnia.
So I know a couple Navy boys. You're definitely one of them now. I've heard the term boat hoe a couple times. We had the similar thing in the army, but we had them as you know. There's a couple words. There's a couple words I don't want to use because you know. I do not want to get this channel banned, but
we're fucking demonetized, and I mean, yeah.
Oh, we are fucking. Oh yeah, at this point. All right. I remember one of them. I was like, "You smell that, boys? What? That's some wolf pussy right there." I'm like, "Oh God, damn it, man! What the fuck?" He's like, "Dog, I'm gonna stick it." I'm like, "Dog, we're going to a fob. There's pogue chicks. Calm the fuck down. They're army. You know that shit's not been washed in a week. Calm the fuck down."
There's supply.
And my buddy sitting there, he's like, "I'm gonna tame me some of that supply strange." I'm like, "God damn it. Why can't I just
I knew it.
why can't I just go make a phone call to home, surf the internet for a few minutes, go take a shower, feed Zeus, take a nap, and then go watch some ISR before we fucking have to roll out past the wire?" No, I gotta deal with my fucking battle buddies who are fucking EOD techs and supposed to be better than this shit, supposed to be better than infantry, are acting like fucking 11 Bravos.
I have to say, I'm so fucking glad the Navy had shipmates and not battle buddies. Battle buddy is the gayest shit I've ever heard.
The Marine Corps called them Libo buddies, Liberty buddies.
Well, I also made two.
Because we were on
The
Liberty.
Marine Corps only get in trouble on Liberty.
You know what? I
No.
never
Liberty
Liberty
buddy.
doing any gay shit in EOD.
It's only because they were required when we had Liberty. If we were on base, we didn't need them. Only if we were going off base.
That's because both the Marine Corps and the Navy cannot handle a board call with any level of maturity whatsoever. I'm a sailor. I own that shit.
I'm going to hop off and get my phone.
Oh wow,
charged.
we went 45 minutes past the normal time frame. Normally it's a 2-hour episode, but we had some pretty good content tonight.
See you later. Have a good night. Nice to meet you, man.
Later, man.
Night, JB.
Yeah, we've been completely off topic for a while, and I'm cool with that.
Usually, okay, so we usually talk about the topic for the first, because it starts at 6:30. Well, my time, I don't know what time zone you're in, but
yeah, I'm Pacific.
You're Pacific?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it starts 6:30, and then we go until 8, and then from 8 to 8:30, we just kind of wind down and kind of diffuse the topic and just talk about whatever. And then if it keeps on going, then we'll keep on going. Usually by then everybody's pretty much done because a lot of the time we have Central and East Coast people on here also. But we went 45 minutes over, and that's pretty good. I like it.
Cool.
We've had
I tried to stay on topic for the most part, and then it devolved, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just talk about whatever.
Yeah. sometimes it diffuses a little bit, and then we just kind of have to shift into something else. I mean, sometimes the topics that we have, like, they seem really, really great, and then, like, getting into talking about it, like, there's really not much to be said after 45 minutes, you know? So we just kind of, fillers and going on random topics and tangents and stuff is not always a bad thing, because we can always circle back.
So I'm gonna throw something in Discord. It's just a collection of quotes and research. It really has nothing to do with
Sure.
anything necessarily salient. Just for your own digestion, if you're curious about this stuff. I will throw a. I think this will work. I'll throw it in Scuttlebutt. The viewers on Twitch are probably long since left us, if there were any, and they don't care anyways. But I tossed you a picture of.
Yes, I saw that, and right when I saw it, I was like, okay, that is the uniform I was thinking.
Yeah, that's the garrison cap without the
Maxie, can you open the big garage door, please? Okay, I just got it. Sorry.
So between the links that I threw into your Twitch chat, as well as that text document that I pasted in the Discord, that's kind of just a collection of the research I did on which each of the branches of service had as their public outreach for recruitment. Some of it's from a year ago, some of it's from a couple of months ago, some of it's from just 1 month ago. But it seems like each branch of the service is facing the same issue. The corporate world, the free market, has no surprise outpaced the government market. The free market is more agile, and they've given more incentive to the workforce, and the public market can't compete. They haven't been able to compete for a long time, but the groundswell of post 9/11 patriotism has kind of died off, and that easy mode for recruitment is gone. And what we're left with is back to standard recruiting, and all of our recruiters have to learn all over again how to recruit. What the Marine Corps has done is the Marine Corps has said we can no longer solve this problem by recruitment. We can no longer recruit and replace. We now have to retain. The Navy has been trying for the last 10 years to retain and failing. My program specifically, if you're a naval reactor operator, you have better options in the civilian world operating nuclear power plants on the civilian side for 5 to 10 times the money the Navy's paying you. Why would you ever stay in? You wouldn't. My dumbass, I said, fuck nuclear stuff. I have nothing to do with nuclear anything again. I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to go as far away from electronics and nuclear reactor stuff as I can, because I was an ET, which is electronic technician. It's like the Navy's version of a non-engineer, electronics engineer. They're like troubleshooters, basically. I went as far away from circuits and black boxes as I could. I'm like, I'm going to do steel and concrete and dirt. I'm going to be a civil engineer. I'm going to go structural. My dumb ass ended up on a nuclear project. But the point is, there's way more money being made in the civilian world, and there's way more money being had in the civilian world. The quality of life's better in the civilian world. The armed forces have to do a better job of recruiting. They have to do a better job of incentivizing. That means the armed forces need a larger budget. That's not a larger budget for weapons development. That's not a larger budget for new ships. That's not a larger budget for the next whiz-bang Air Force bullshit. It's a larger budget for people, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening, I promise.
Yeah, you and I aren't going to solve that problem. But that's why we're in the recruiting hole that we're in. We're in the recruiting hole that we're in because the patriotism is gone. Yeah, it's not gone. The exaggerated patriotism is gone. The inflated, pro-America 9/11 never forget. It's gone. That ship has sailed. It's left the building.
Right.
We're back to normal again. And all the recruiters that were recruiting during normal are gone. The recruiters that we have in the pipeline right now are recruiters that were recruiting during post 9/11, like easy mode. they're going to have to learn all over again what they're doing, and they're going to have to retain people too. I don't know about the rest of the services, but the Navy is hemorrhaging leadership. Just nobody senior. We're promoting people left and right that 20 years ago would have never been promoted because they're incompetent, immature, young, inexperienced.
They have those
whatever.
billets they need to fill, and they just have to pick from what they got.
Yeah, there's a billet to fill, and congratulations, you're in the top 10. So you got 10% of the people going to the new billet. You're in the top 10%. You're in.
Yep.
All the other factors aside, how many medals you have, how many flag letters you have, what diversity category you fit into, all that shit aside, you're going to fill the billets, and you're going to fill the billets with inexperienced people.
Yep.
It's just the nature of the beast, and so here we are. How do you fix this? Well, every single branch of the service, every single branch, even the Space Force, reduce their recruiting goals. By the way, the Space Force met their goals. Do you know how many people the Space Force recruited last fiscal year?
None. I'm gonna assume they all.
100.
Oh.
100 people. When I don't even know if the Space Force has a boot camp, but there were 100 people that joined the Space Force last year, fiscal year. 100. I don't know what that means, but okay, it's there.
I mean, I know that majority. I thought it was 100%, but that they just took existing Air Force enlisted and just kind of slapped on a Space Force.
They recruited 100 new non-prior enlisted. 100.
I wonder how they're doing.
I think a few thousand Air Force, but 100 new non-servicemen or servicewomen, service people, whatever it is now. 100.
I want to say that that one. There's obviously it's still a very small branch, but it's probably still smaller than the Marine Corps. But I don't think anybody really consider. I don't think they're actually fully considering it its own branch quite yet. At least the general population doesn't see it as one. It's not one of the Fab Five. But it's like the Coast Guard. They don't count.
I mean, the Coast Guard is way more of a service than the Space Force. The Space Force is basically
but
like
one of the leading people for the Space Force, I know for a fact, is a female general from the Air Force that they just kind of rebranded into Space Force. Yeah, I mean, she's pretty impressive. Her record is pretty impressive.
Sure, but
trailblaze for the Space Force woman, you got it.
So let me ask you this though: if you're POTUS and you create a new branch of the service in 2000 and when did President Trump create the Space Force? 2018.
Sometime between 16 and 20.
Yeah. So whenever he created it.
I know that they were talking about it forever, and then it just kind of came out, and it was there, and I don't remember when.
So if you're the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces, and you create a new branch of the service, do you think there's any chance in hell you're going to pick anything but a high potential female officer to head that branch? Like, if you pick a male, you're fucking done. Politically, it's over. You have no choice.
Well, I don't think that she's like the commandant of the Space Force, but she's like up there. She's up there. She's one of the leading generals for the Space Force. I want to say, I don't know. She's one that sits at the table in fucking DC.
She's probably joined.
But she's a 4-star. She's a 4-star. Yeah. One of the only freaking 4-stars. Yeah. Which I want to say in all the branches, there's only like 12 female 4-stars in all branches combined.
Yeah, there's not very many. I mean, she's a badass. She's got the qualifications.
You got plenty of 2 and 3 stars,
but I mean, can you imagine the political backlash if he had put a male in charge of that shit? Like, that was not going to happen.
Well, I mean, you can take it so far. How dare he pick a white woman?
Well, she's a lady, so that counts.
Well, so was Sarah Palin.
That's true. And everybody hates her, right? We're supposed to hate her, aren't we?
Well, she's conservative. Who can see Russia from her backyard?
Oh shit! Yeah, well, there we go. She can't, by the way.
She was a Republican who was a little too close to Russia.
Oh my gosh. She also didn't even understand Paul Revere's ride. That you know, I'm okay with conservatives, but when they talk out of their ass, I'm not.
Either side, I don't like. Honestly, at some point, it's like, dude, can you just shut up? Like,
Do you remember
100% of your
Paul
personality is
Revere's
whatever
ride?
political affiliation you are, and that's dumb. Like, there's more to life than just whatever political affiliation you are.
She was so embarrassing. She was so embarrassing. She messed up Paul Revere so bad.
But it is now almost 9:30, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll the end credits. Me and you can continue on our little conversation after this. But let's say goodbye to Twitch because I do got to check on the kids here in a few minutes. They've been exceptionally well tonight. So I'm going to mute you really quick, and then I'm going to be right back. So goodbye, Twitch. You have a wonderful and lovely evening, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining this week's episode. Together, we aim to make change for ourselves and our brothers and sisters in arms. Things aren't always easy for those serving amongst our ranks, and getting the help when our time of service has come to an end can mean life or death. It's time we disrupt the status quo.